Hey there, you're listening to You Still Going On About That with Rob Israel and Joseph K. You can find us anywhere you could download podcasts. You could also find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at YSGOAT. Thanks for listening. I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
And you still going on about
that?
All right, Joseph, it is June 24th at 11:06 p.m. We're recording You Still Going On About That, YSGOAT, or as we like to call this, YSGOAT News, where we talk about politics, pop culture, and anything that's been going on for the past week. We will be talking about this until probably June 25th, like 1-ish a.m. or anything. So we work 2 days, solid 2 days when we do this thing, right? I mean, it's a
double shift.
Yeah,
pulling a double.
Yeah. So we'll try to get this up either late, or I guess early, depending on how you look at things.
Yes.
Or the first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
We'll have this probably when you wake up, or you might have it before you go to bed. I don't know, depending again.
Although we have been skyrocketing back up the charts in the Czech Republic. I don't know if you noticed that.
I saw that.
Yeah. So I don't know what time it is there. Maybe this is a evening show for them. Who knows?
A lunchtime break. Who knows? But thank you. I should learn some Czechoslovakian or something. Right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, like just something, like even just like hello.
Yeah,
maybe it's hello there too. I don't know. But clearly you must understand us, or maybe again there's something where what we do soothes your goats.
Right, yeah.
And babies to sleep. Who knows? We don't know. We don't know what purpose.
Yes. Yeah.
Maybe you're learning about American culture from us. And if you are, I don't know if this was the best place to learn American culture from. I like to say thank you, but also I am not narcissistic enough to think that this would be the best place.
Right. Yeah.
I'm too honored,
It should be one of many options on your plate. It should be one of.
I mean, we appreciate it if this is one of them. I'm honored, but at the same time, please, anything you do wrong, and you try to say it's because of this podcast, I don't know.
Yeah.
I say niet. I don't know if they say niet there.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
They don't say niet. They say niet.
No. I think they would probably have bad feelings about like Russian language. Probably.
Yeah, maybe. I guess it's history there. Yeah, a little bit of history. All right. So, what are we talking about this week, Joseph?
We have a lot on. We have a lot on the table. We have. We're going to talk about Loki, the latest episode of Loki, just for a few minutes. We're going to talk kind of the coronavirus ongoing.
It's with all its just like Loki with its variants.
Yes, right.
Which has a lot of variants in it. COVID also has a lot of variants as well.
That's true. Yeah. We're talking about businesses hiring and kind of the post-pandemic world. Then we're going to shift gears. We're going to talk about the two governors, probably the two worst governors around.
Real bags of shit.
Yeah, Greg Abbott.
He's worse.
Greg Abbott from Texas and Ron DeSantis from Florida. I was thinking today, like, which state is worse? Because like Texas has Greg Abbott, Old Man Cornhole, and
Ted Cruz,
Dan
Patrick, and Dan Patrick.
And Dan Patrick. Florida.
And then you could also throw in that one at the Cyclops dude.
Yeah. Crenshaw.
Yeah, Dan Crenshaw.
But Florida has Ron DeSantis, Rick Scott, Marco Rubio, and Matt Gaetz. So
that's Matt Gaetz is definitely. I mean, we'll talk about that later because there's a thing with that general.
That was funny.
And I'm just like, how's this guy not in jail? All right, what else? Okay,
and with that, the Florida building collapse. That was a big news out of Surfside today. Then we're going to switch to talking about the recent bipartisanship push from Joe Biden and kind of the stuff surrounding that, which would include OANN, Trump's Gab post to take back America, some stuff from the Michigan GOP, and how the right has just been generally piling on Vice President Harris. Then we're going to talk about Rudy Giuliani and the New York City mayoral primary. And we're going to finish it up with you know a lot more about this of these two. You know about the Crowder thing.
Steven Crowder, H3H3, and Sam Cedar. We're not going to be the only. You probably have heard this in lots of other people, but I found it highly entertaining. So we'll get into that. But you may know more about this one.
I do. We're going to wrap it up with we're going to talk briefly about Britney Spears and the conservatorship that she's kind of.
Yeah, I don't really know much about it, but I've heard, from what I hear, it's pretty crazy and it's kind of fucked up. Like there's like,
it's super fucked up.
All right, well, we'll get to that.
Yeah,
I guess. And then there was like a thing. I mean, I guess we don't even. I could just say it really quickly before we get into anything. What was it? The guy from Mumford and Sons left. Some dude from Mumford and Sons left the band.
Yeah.
Want to say nice things about super serious reporter, not grifter, Andy Nago.
Yeah, the banjo player from Mumford and Sons.
Was he at the Stop the Steal thing in January 6th?
He may have been. I don't know. I know
that like indie artist that was there that people were like, "What the fuck?" Like, so I forgot his name.
Well, there's a metal singer who already pled guilty. A heavy metal singer was there, like Winter Frost or something.
No, this was some other guy who was like an indie like singer or something that like people were like, "What's this guy doing there?" I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I don't really know much about Mumford and Son. If you told me Mumford and Son, I just think of like, are they like a 70s band? It sounds like
the Hey Ho band. Is that them?
I have no idea. Yeah. I'm really bad when it comes to anything current. I just saying, like, to me, when I hear the name Mumford and Sons, it sounds like I would think that they were like, they hang out with the band The Eagles.
Yeah. Or like Manfred Mann's Earth Band or something.
Like they just seem like something from like the 70s where like they would all be on the record and not wearing shirts, and it would just be like, at the time it looked okay, but if you saw it now, you'd be like,
I don't know.
That's different, but yeah. Well, whatever. The guy left. I don't know enough about it. I just saw this. I do know who Andy Nago is, and he's just like a kind of a shitbag grifter, like con man who he's a fake reporter that is really a like lobbyist for the Proud Boys and other far right fascist groups, and but the problem is major media outlets have taken the bait over the years and let him come on and act like he's a legitimate source, and he just goes on the TV at multiple shows and says like Antifa's trying to destroy the world.
Yeah.
And his biggest claim to fame was like a year or two ago where he got milkshaked by somebody.
Yep.
He instigated something and someone supposedly threw a milkshake, but he claimed it had concrete and he had drain damage from it. Right. And he collected like $200,000 in a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
And, I mean, the guy's like, he just spreads falsehoods. Like every time the joke is like, he's not even there. And he'll just like, he edits footage or shows things, and it's like he.
I'll tell you, that niche of people, that the right-wing grifters, and there's a lot of them, are so interesting and so weird and so.
This guy's so bizarre because it's like he's a Vietnamese guy who's gay supposedly, and he claimed he was British, even though his accent, which changes when he talks, is totally manufactured. So that's why I said, if anyone lets this guy on now that is so-called like a normal media outlet, not like an OAN or Newsmax or anything, but like someone that claims to be more, news, and you have him on, and the first thing you don't say to him is, why do you have a fake accent? Then I don't trust you as a media outlet, or you're not that bright, or you know what I mean? Like, I feel like if you're letting him on, it's a bad faith situation. But regardless, it's more just funny that this guy is leaving this like cushy job at this band that's, I guess, successful enough that he can like ride it for years. And he's leaving it because he wants to say nice things about to go or something. Like
he left because he wants to be able to talk more freely about the political left's extremism, and he took back his apology because he had previously apologized for like supporting Andy Ngo, and he said that he's sorry if his fans were put off by his support for that character.
That's really bizarre. He says he wrote in a thing, I love those first tours, bouncing off a sweaty stage in a Edinburgh catacomb. We then had to get, I don't know, whatever. Yeah, Barry Weiss tweeted support. If you're looking for integrity, look no further. Blown away by this. Like, okay, yeah. Well, she's kind of a shitbag.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know. Like, oh, I just find it funny. Like, who knows? This guy probably was on the way out the band anyway. He gets to go make like a big stink about it and everything. Yeah. He's probably like on the way out anyway.
Well,
and now all these like right wingers are like coming out in his favor, and it gives him like a ton of attention.
I'll tell you, being a right wing grifter is probably more lucrative than being a recording artist currently.
Probably, yeah. It could be. It really could be. Like,
my guess is that like. I don't know any of this, but like my guess is that if he was the banjo player in a band, he's like he probably doesn't own the rights to any of the songs. He's probably like a musician for hire.
He'll replace it in a minute.
Yeah, he's probably a musician for hire. He, there's with recording the way it is. I mean, it's not a super lucrative field anymore. So yeah, I mean, that's my guess is that it's one of those.
Oh yeah, like he'll have like a YouTube show. He'll do the rounds. He'll go on Rogan and all them, and who knows what will happen. I'm sure it's a grift. I mean, I don't think Barry Weiss or any of these other people that are coming out would come out in support of him if it wasn't already a planned grift. You know what I mean? These guys don't like, they work in sync. Like you could see it happen. None of these people are tweeting because they want to, like, out of the goodness of their heart. It's more like, he's on the list, guys. He's one of us. He's part of the Chud circuit. And I just think it's funny though it's funny to say guy leaves moderately successful band and because he has nice things to say about Andy Ngo. It just sounds really funny and kind of sad a bit. I don't know.
It is. It's just fucked up. I mean, like, I don't know. It's just.
I tweeted my drawing that I have Andy Ngo.
Yeah.
Where he's covered in milkshake. That was tweeted by Andy Ngo.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
He tried to act like he tweeted my Chuds drawing and claimed it was a punk band that he was going to be in. He didn't credit me, of course. I'm kind of glad he didn't, though. I think he did me a service.
Yeah.
If you think Andy Ngo is bad, the people that like Andy Ngo are like a million times worse, and they're behind private accounts, and they'll like. I got a little bit of it.
Yeah.
If he credited me or
that could be.
I would have been inundated with Chuds. Like I would have gotten death threats.
Just the other day, I've been every once in a while, like I'll tweet, I'll a stock tweet to like a MAGA Chud, and I'll say, remember that time Joe Biden told Donald Trump to shut up on national TV and then took his job. And then I'll like do a little laughy face. And anyway, one of these guys has a couple 100,000 followers. He said like, let him have it. And he like quoted me, and I was all ready for like, I was like, I probably, need to ease up because I don't need like my Twitter account inundated by these fucking idiots. But then like within an hour or two, he blocked me. And by blocking me, like nobody could see or respond to it was like a weird thing. And I was like, well, what the
I'm not blocked by Andy Ngo, but I've been blocked by other Chuds and stuff like Ian Xiong, Nick Fuentes, who's a Nazi. There's a couple others that are I mean, it's an honor, I guess. Sure. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have anything else to say about it. I just figured we'd begin with that. It's kind of funny. I guess speaking of con artists, Well, a more fun, lovable one, and one that's doesn't exist in our reality. So therefore, it's entertaining. His antics are entertaining because we thankfully don't have to deal with the consequences except for our enjoyment.
I know exactly who you're talking about. The Great Gazoo was one of the
yes, possibly. Some say shows in the end. Shows when you get to the last season or two, it's already petering out. But with the Great Kazoo, I would say no. Flintstones were they left at their peak.
Right. Or you could be actually, now that I'm thinking about it more clearly,
Oliver on the Brady Bunch, leaving out on top.
You could be talking about Loki, of which we saw episode 3 very recently.
Oh, okay.
He's also green and mischievous.
Yeah.
So you could see how you'd easily confuse.
Not his skin. No. He wears some green sometimes, or greenish.
Yeah.
His actual skin, though, in reality, is blue.
Yeah, he's a frost giant. Well, I watched Loki episode 3, and I thought it was okay. I thought episode 1 was good. I thought episode 2 was amazing.
Yeah.
And I thought episode 3 was all right.
3 was like, okay, so you had like a lot of stuff happening too. It was a lot of awesome moments and basically the big cliffhanger. Spoilers, we're going to spoil Loki episode 1, 2, and 3 right now. So, and if you've ever been listening to us the past 3 weeks on the show, we talk about Loki episode 1, episode 2. So we'll be talking about all 6. I'm assuming it's 6 episodes.
Yes.
With our YSGOAT news episode. So, it ended with the reveal that the variant, this dangerous variant that's going around fucking up time or whatever, or trying to, is a female Loki.
Yeah.
And everyone was kind of figuring out who it was, and they were like thinking, okay, is this the Enchantress?
Right.
It isn't, though. It is just she is just a female Loki, right? Or she's the same name as so there's Enchantress 1.
Yep.
But then there's this Enchantress 2.
Yes.
Came out years ago in like Young Adventures, Dark Adventures.
Right.
I don't know what the fuck it was. And she was part of that team, and she had like a different name. And I think she might go by that same name.
Sylvie, yeah.
But I don't know in the comics if she was considered I don't think she was a variant of Loki.
Well,
this woman is basically a female Loki from a different reality, right?
From as far as we know now, there's no evidence to suggest otherwise. Although occasionally she'll say, like, "Don't call me that name." There's been enough like hints dropped so that you think it's possible she's not just a variant of Loki, but we got to assume she is right now.
She seems like a different enough character that she could just not be him. Like they're talking, they have like some similarities in that they're both kind of tricksters in a bit, but they also seem kind of different. Their tactics are different. Yep. Like there's a great scene where they go to somebody's, like this woman's house to get like information, and she of course barges in real quick, attack first, and she gets shot, and then it's kind of funny. And then he does his thing where he pretends. It's a great scene. This old lady, he peeks in and sees like her husband with her, and clearly the husband's not there. Yeah. So all of a sudden because he can change what do you call it? He's like a shapeshifter.
Yeah.
Or he gives he's an illusionist. He creates illusions. He's not really, I wouldn't say he's a shapeshifter, but I guess he kind of is, because his real shape is he's an ice giant. Or ice, whatever they call him. He pretends to be the woman's husband. It's a really funny scene. And then that woman shoots him.
Yeah.
Which is really funny. But yeah, it's revealed in the beginning. Like it kind of starts off weird the way, because in the end of the episode, did Loki see her or did someone else see her?
You mean the end of episode 2?
Like Roxxon Mart in the end when they go to that.
Yeah, at the end of episode 2, the girl Loki, the woman Loki, is leaving. And I don't know if Morpheus and the team saw her at the time, but they saw Loki going after her. Mobius. Oh, what did I say? Oh, I said
Morpheus.
Mobius is like, Loki, don't go. And
I was Mobius.
And Loki goes through the time door, or whatever that portal.
Well, she was like fucking up time, and I guess she shows. Well, it begins with like this weird, like almost like alternate reality with that one woman who's from the what are they called again?
Yeah,
Time.
she's a Minuteman, the
Yeah.
time variant.
And it's like they're having drinks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then it really like it's all in her head or something.
You realize it because like all of a sudden the same scene plays again, but it's nighttime, and you're like, oh, something's fucked up here.
Yeah.
And the lady Loki was trying to get information about the Time Lords. What are they called? Not Time Lords, Timekeepers.
Time Cop. It's
Yeah.
a Jean-Claude Van Damme movie.
Well, yeah, it was kind of a cool scene. We do find out the big reveal is something we suspected last week, is that all the people, they weren't created by the Timekeepers, they're all variants.
Yeah, and there's like some other things revealed. Like it's like a more of like it's Loki interacting with Sylvie.
A lot of talking.
It's a lot of talking, and they're talking about their lives as like a. I mean, it's interesting. He goes to like the wrong planet because they're trying to get like energy or something, and she's like, "Why would you go here? This world's gonna like blow up in a bad way."
If there were 22 episodes of this, like a regular old school TV show season,
you would be more forgiving.
Yeah, this would be one of the episodes where you're like, oh, it's a bottle episode, or it's a
bottle episode, but you still have like a huge action set piece in the end. That's pretty movie quality.
Yeah.
There's still some moments, but yeah, it is like the equivalent of a bottle episode because there's like they're sitting at a table talking, but there is a lot of stuff that happens.
Yeah, I don't mean to give it like too short a shrift, but it is a good episode.
It focuses mostly on just them and doesn't have the other characters really in it. Like you only see what's that woman's name who like is the leader or something of it?
Ravana.
There's all these kinds of theories and it is possible, like this could be us being introduced to Kang. Kang is a major Avengers villain, and he's supposed to be in the next Ant-Man and the Wasp movie.
Yeah.
But it is possible with the Timekeepers and all that stuff that it involves him.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Mostly that woman, that character, the judge or whatever she is like supposedly Kang's wife or a variant of Mobius is supposedly a variant of Kang. Kang throughout time has many variants because there's a character called the Mortis and it's Kang also, but it's like a different person. It's really odd.
There is a scene too, and we talked about it a lot in our last episode. There was a scene in the previous episode where Mobius is talking to that woman, I forget her name, and he can't remember something, and he's like, she's like, you keep putting your cup there, and he's like, well, there's rings here, and like, is this some other person you have that's giving you gifts or whatever? And it was like a weird thing, and I remember talking about how it was strange that he couldn't remember something, and something was clearly up with it. So it would make sense that he's a variant and that this woman has multiple variants of him, and he's just like a little cog in the machine. The irony is going to be he's like that the TVA is trying to like eliminate all these variants, but they themselves are variants, and that's probably going to tie into the resolution of the series somehow.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, Owen Wilson, Mobius character, is not in this episode. A lot of the characters are not in this episode. It is focuses on mostly her and the Sylvie and Loki. They talk. We learned some things. We learn Loki is the first major Marvel MCU LGBTQ character. Already suspected that already. It never was known in the comics. They've kind of made him like gender fluid, I guess they would call it. Because they're talking, and I guess she as well. Like, I guess that's just a Loki thing. And hey, it's the fucking 90s, man. It's cool. You ever heard that in the 90s? And now I say it all the time now. It's not the 90s. It's 30 years later. It's a long time. I'm old.
I had mixed feelings about that because it seems like they always make that's part of the it doesn't seem like a positive thing to me. Like I don't.
Why? Because he's a bad guy. So you
yeah,
think like,
right. Like Lucifer is like it's always like the trickster villain. You can't trust him. They're you know, it's like,
yeah, I guess you could look at it that way. I don't know. I could
Loki's
see
like a
I
very
can see
popular character and people
like
love him. So
someone
it's
with
good.
loose morals is going to be the one that is
Right.
bisexual
Right.
or
Like
gay or something. I can see what you mean because it falls under like the Hollywood villain thing.
yes.
But I also look at it as like, I mean, he lives in this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna.
I don't. Those same rules in life don't apply to him. I don't know what Asgard's like.
Right.
Sure, everyone in Asgard's just fucking each other. The fucking those rock
Could
men
be.
that were
Yeah.
in that second in the Dark World. Was it Korg? But it was like a different Korg. You know, who knows? It could just. I mean, fuck. It's Asgard. They're probably just like,
Yeah.
we just sit here all day, eat grapes, and fuck each other.
Right.
You don't know where the dick's going.
Yeah. Well,
you know,
I think,
shit happens. You know, what do you think happened? Why do you think Odin only has one eye?
Right. Well, I think, yeah, I think I'm not like too bent out of shape about it because I think Loki.
Are you gonna be okay? Are you gonna scream MAGA or something?
Loki's a pretty well loved character, so it's not like they took like a pure villain and said,
right, yeah, like the Red Skull.
Right, yeah, like if the Red Skull
guy wants to say you have a nice ass. What?
Yeah.
I know what you mean, because there is like this tendency in Hollywood over the years to have like a villain
yeah.
and it gives off a gay vibe.
Right.
Like Scar from Lion King's a famous gayish villain, and that like because they show him when he's in charge of the Rock or whatever, he has like no interest in the women. It's like they couldn't just made it any more obvious. He's just like he's hanging out with the fucking what are those
the
things?
hyenas,
yeah, hyenas was like, man, that movie's like super racist on so many levels. You know, yeah, I mean, whatever. You know, what's funny though, I find it interesting is that I don't think they would ever done that in the movies. I don't think that the MCU has the guts to make. And they ain't flat out say, they're just having a conversation. He didn't say like, oh yeah, it was just more like whatever, who cares, you know? Right. But I think in the movies they wouldn't do that. I think I think TV they could get away with it more. I think like movies they got to worry about that first week in the box office.
Yeah,
they got to worry about every seat. And because I remember when Thor Ragnarok came out, there was this rumor going around or whatever. It was alluded to that the what's her face is the Valkyrie. Was a lesbian.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Of it, they either edited it out before that. They kind of hint a little bit at it, but not really.
Right.
If anything, only because I heard that you would think that, but they chickened out. So, but I think with the Disney Plus shows, they're just like any TV, anything streaming. They don't have to worry about that fucking first week. They don't have to hear fucking some asshole crying about it, telling you they're not going to go, they're not going to spend their money at the theater. Disney Plus, what are you going to do? You're going to drop your subscription. Anyone that drops a subscription over Loki being by is, well, most of those people supposedly drop their subscriptions after fucking what's her face got fired, Gina Carano.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, what are you gonna do?
All those so-called chuds left because of to support her or something.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying with the whole like.
It just seems of all the MCU characters, like, look, on one end of the spectrum is like, oh, Captain America comes out. That'll never happen, obviously. Just because the character's not built that way. If anything, the character would like struggle with trying to whatever.
Would be monogamous.
Yeah, right. But then like, I don't know. I mean, it just seemed like of all the characters, this was like the easiest way out, and it did kind of like play into that. Like, I don't know. I just remember like seeing a lot of like devil characters or demon. Like it's all like that's just tossed in there to make the character come off as like a little transgressive or unsettling, and the idea should be to like normalize it in the sense that like a character that you just sort of kind of coincidentally or tangentially find out that a character is bi or gay or whatever.
The funny thing about this character though is that even though So this Loki that we're watching, it's kind of interesting. I don't know how long he's been with this group. How much time has passed?
Yeah,
it feels like he's like pretty entrenched in it right now. It's like it doesn't, even though it's only the third episode, it feels like he's been with them a while.
Yeah.
Right? Which is weird, it's like,
yeah, and he knows the rules of the road. He's a pretty adaptive character though, like,
right. But the problem with his character, and this is a writing problem. So when Loki's introduced in the first Thor movie, he's like likable, but he's the villain. He's revealed to be the villain, and he's the bad guy. And in Avengers, he's the main bad guy, but again, he's a likable villain.
Right.
And you find out he's just part of the cog. And then they kind of reform his character. By the time Thor Ragnarok, and then by the time he gets killed by Thanos, he's kind of like sort of reformed himself, rehabilitated himself, that he's basically on the side of good to a point.
Yeah.
Fuck up, like he gets greedy, he sees the Tesseracts and he has to take it.
Right. Yeah.
That's how Thanos gets that freaking thing. It would have blown up on Asgard if he didn't take it.
No, you're right.
But this Loki is not that Loki. But we, the audience, still perceive.
Yeah.
We're trained to see the Loki who gets killed by Thanos.
Right.
So even though it's kind of weird. It's like the equity earned by that Loki shifts over to this Loki.
Yeah, even though this Loki, from it.
What?
He benefits from it.
Right, he benefits from it, but he's not the same Loki. He's still kind of like the douchebag villain Loki.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's whatever. It's an interesting, because it's his show, and he's gonna come off like the hero no matter what in the end. Even if, like, I always had an issue with, like, comics would try to do something with villains, right? They'll like, they want to make Venom a good guy, right? So what did they do? They created a crazier symbiote named Carnage, who outright just kills people. Like Venom, he's a lethal protector. Like he doesn't.
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man, but he's also, he'll save people once in a while.
Right.
Carnage is an outright murderer. So it ends up making Venom look like a good guy in some ways.
In comparison.
Right. And again, I always bring this up. Walter White in Breaking Bad. I mean, by the end of the 4th season, he's an absolute monster. He basically has a kid poisoned that could have died and luckily was saved. But he does all these horrible things. And what do they do to reform him? Well, they bring Nazis in.
Yeah, actual Nazis.
And he defeats the Nazis. Back before Trump was president, Nazis were perceived as always just bad and not a weird.
Didn't even have to think about it.
Yeah, you didn't have a vague, like, no, they were the bad guys. It's pretty fucking clear. Yeah. They're fucking Nazis. So by that, he ends up becoming the good guy, even though he's not. Now Loki is a different situation too. Because I don't know. I guess he was just he was popular enough. That's the other thing too. Yeah. Sometimes these villains get so popular that they end up carrying their own thing. I just don't like when a villain is really bad though. That's why I like when they announced like a Joker movie. I thought it was like a little weird. I'm like, wait, we're supposed to like sympathize with him? Like the Joker is supposed to be a absolutely horrible character.
Yeah, the Joker's not supposed to have any redeeming qualities. And it's not supposed to be nuanced, like.
Gonna rob a bank.
Right. The day the Joker woke up early and gave all the kids their presents back. Like it's. That's.
Everyone, the joke's on you. All the kids are having a good time.
Right.
I don't like that. I'm a fascist. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, like you said. Yeah, not a lot happens in this episode. Then we'll see what happens.
Well, I will say before we move on to the next subject that I watched episodes 1 and 2 alone, and my wife watched episode 3 with me, or she was in the room, screwing around on her phone while I was watching it. And it was not a compelling argument to go back and watch the first 2 episodes. I kept trying. I found myself saying like, "Oh, well, it's because the last episode was so good. It was the last episode I thought was like one of the better episodes of TV I've seen in general, like in recent memory. It was very good. So I don't know. I mean, I'm absolutely going to be there next week for episode 4.
Made 6 episodes.
Yeah. So there's that.
I would like to think the next one's going to be better, more stuff's going to happen, but I know what you mean. Like you want, like when you only have 6 episodes, you kind of think every episode should be treated very importantly.
Yeah.
And I don't know, maybe there's some groundwork in this episode that will lead to something bigger next week, so it makes this episode better. Yeah, I don't know. But I agree with you. All right, well, we'll revisit that. Speaking of actual villains, we were going to talk about COVID first.
Yeah, well,
I guess is also a villain.
We were going to talk about COVID and kind of like that was going to lead into a talk about how the economy has changed, or business hiring has changed as a result of this coronavirus.
So this year was always supposed to be like, this is the end of COVID. Like we got vaccines, everything's like, it's here.
Yeah.
And the United States, Trump fucked it up and delayed, like the vaccine should have came here like in October last year.
Yeah.
But he fucked it up and made us like not the top of the list.
So honestly, if he had gotten the vaccines out earlier and really sold them, he might be president today. Maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Maybe.
I mean,
you're so busy. I don't know. We'll get to that later. But regardless, the vaccines, though, are here, and we have plenty of them. And we're at a point now where everyone who wanted them got it.
Yep.
And unfortunately, everyone else doesn't give a shit. We're in Texas. I don't think Texas is ever going to reach herd immunity. Maybe parts of it will, but as a state, they ain't going to reach herd immunity. It's just not. It's too. The anti-vaxxer movement is just way too big here. It's too much misinformation. There's these horrible right-wing grifters and media and stuff that have no problem sending people to their death as long as they get paid well.
Yeah.
Tucker Carlson doesn't give a fuck.
No.
If a kid dies from what he says, he doesn't care. That guy has no fucking, there's no soul for that guy. They better not make a Tucker Carlson show on Disney Plus where he's a good guy. Yeah. And then Tucker Carlson's like, "Oh, did I tell you I'm also gender fluid?"
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's great! Wow, bravo.
That's where I draw the line. He's just too villainous.
Yeah, he's just a little too villainous. But I mean, like, it's sad, everyone wanted everyone that we knew wanted the vaccine, got the vaccine. We're waiting on kids 12 and over got it. Or if their parents would let them. We're still waiting for the 12 and under. Kind of hope that, I really want my son to get vaccinated. I want your daughter to get vaccinated. I feel like once they are vaccinated, I could really feel like a little bit more comfortable about things.
Absolutely.
Worry just a little less. I mean, we have to worry about other things. But the funny thing about this whole COVID thing is that all these dipshits that refuse to wear masks or don't think it's a big deal or wore it like in a dumb way, like a diaper, or like purposely blow their nose just to like spite people. Like, do those motherfuckers there's like colds and flus coming back because people are not even if they're fine, maybe COVID's dying down a bit because people have been getting vaccinated, not enough to be herd immunity, but maybe enough to slow a spread. But guess what? Colds and flus are still around. And the masks did a really amazing job of
it was something.
It was huge. I was talking to the school and I asked the principal and I said, "Hey, did you, unfortunately Abbott decided in the end that no one's going to wear a mask. Right. No one has to wear a mask. Schools are not allowed to mandate it anymore because he's a good guy. We'll talk about that in a few. Yeah. But I asked the principal, I said, "Hey, how was you guys always have a really bad flu outbreak. What about this year?" And she was like, "Not one."
Yeah.
Well, because the masks work. I mean, should we as society always wear masks all the time? I don't know. I mean, I like to think maybe some people would just learn better hygiene.
Well, a lot of this stuff is is stuff that could, if people got their heads out of their ass, could be handled. Like, hey, I noticed my kid has a fever and is sniffling. Maybe I won't let him play with the neighbors today. Maybe I'll say, no, my kid can't come over today because he's sick.
Oh God! One time there was this kid that, this was years ago. Roger was playing. This kid came over, and like 5 minutes or 10 minutes into it, this kid was like hacking away and everything, and he was like really sick. And he's like, I feel like I'm gonna throw up. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And I called the mom, like, yeah, pick your kid up. You know your kid's like really sick, right?
Yeah.
Thank God we got him out of there.
I mean,
wait outside until mom picked them. I'm just kidding.
Sometimes it's like a judgment call or whatever, like, I don't know.
She had to have known this kid was sick.
I do know. I remember we used to have to take Pixie when Pixie was a infant to my kid. When she was an infant, we had to take her to daycare, and because we both worked out, in the office and whatever. And I saw a parent once come in. I'll never forget this. A parent came in with her kid. Kid walked in, looked like shit, and immediately vomited everywhere. Just like exorcists. Ralph. Yeah, just like a big, like a bucket of vomit just hitting the floor. And the dad is like, okay. And then he turned around like he's gonna fucking leave. And the people are like, you gotta take your kid, like. But there's a lot of parents that they're
our shitty system doesn't allow it. There's people who can't take time off. Also, or people don't get enough time off. People don't want to lose a day for something like that. They rather use it for fun or.
Well, and I'll tell you, man, I've worked in
limited days off here.
I've worked in plenty of places where you had plenty of time off, and if you tried to take it, people would give you shit about it.
Yeah. Oh God, like, yeah. Where I worked, my boss would give me all kinds of shit, and I'm like, I have every right to take off. Like during the summer, I had enough days off that I would literally take off every Friday during the summer.
Yeah.
And I have every right to fucking do that. I worked.
But people will look and like you won't get advancements or you won't get promoted or whatever. So I don't know. I mean, I get all that. I guess we're kind of getting off topic there. But
no, that's part of it. I mean, we're going to talk about the
business hiring and everything.
Business hiring thing anyway. So regardless, what I was saying though is just like, I feel like we talked about this before with COVID and everything. Like basically anyone who's getting it now could have prevented it because the vaccine's there. And there's so many people who are so hesitant to take it. Like I said, there was a story of this older man, probably like 10, 15 years older than us or whatever, maybe older. He had to get a double lung transplant because he refused to get the vaccine. The man's like lucky he's alive. He's lucky he got a double lung transplant. I told you about this douchebag cop who was in his 30s. He's a guy that like if you saw him or whatever, he would think he was like healthy and worked out or whatever. I'm not gonna get COVID. And he got COVID. He refused. He said he laughed about it. He said he wasn't going to get the vaccine on TikTok. He was making a joke about it. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
He's fucking dead. There's a lot of, I wonder how many people out there are like that. There's so many idiots on TikTok. Remember, did you see those jackasses that would do like the Hunger Games, like 2 fingers thing? Like, we're not getting the vaccine or something. And they would like stupid whistle. I'm like, fuck you guys. You suck. Like,
well, that's the that's the bizarre part of it is that it went from now I'm very pro-vaccine and I don't like anti-vaxxers in general, but like it went from a small group of people that had serious concerns about vaccines. They were misinformed. They're not coming from a place of logic or science, but they had like deeply held beliefs about the safety of the vaccine. And then somewhere along the line, because of Trump, it became like a political affiliation.
It was pretty bad before Trump. I think. Well, he didn't help. He didn't help at all.
I'll bet you the anti-vaxxers went from like 10% to 30%.
I mean, I used to live in California. It was really bad. Yeah. Like all the crunchy people refused to get it. But then there's like a huge religious element. We've talked about this before. There's a huge religious element beside that did refuse to get vaccines too. And this is before Trump. Trump just tapped into it and just emboldened them. But which is weird because he got vaccinated.
Yeah.
And he didn't tell any of his people got vaccinated because he doesn't give a shit about them.
Right. Yes.
He was more concerned about selling MAGA hats and staying in power. He didn't give a fuck about them. And these people never could see that. Tucker Carlson's probably vaccinated. I guarantee you he is.
I'll bet you they're all vaccinated.
All those Fox News fucks are vaccinated. Fuck you. Rubio got vaccinated, and within like less than a couple of weeks was telling people like they don't have to get vaccinated. Like you were vaccinated. You took a picture of you getting, like it went on the internet of you getting vaccinated, and you're telling your fucking constituents that it's a choice. It's not a big deal. Like, do you want? I guess they're, you know what? I guess they're like, well, we're gonna fuck with the voting anyway. That even if our people drop dead from COVID, the other people won't be able to win because we'll come up with some. We're getting rid of democracy anyway.
It's hard to say. I don't really know what the end game is or why they are. I don't know. It's hard to say.
The problem with, okay, so there's a difference, like there's anti-vaxxer shit, and then, you know, there were people who had like some concerns. They're like, well, why is this in there? Why is this in there? But I feel like if you're concerned about the ingredients of this, you should really read the ingredients of everything else you eat. Like somebody I saw on TikTok was reading the ingredients. So it was like, oh my God, look at this vaccine. He was reading the ingredients. And he's like, oh, wait, no, this is a bag of hot Cheetos.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I don't know if I saw that one, but I've seen.
I thought that was great because it's like there's so much garbage on like, and you're worried about this one thing, but it's the misinformation that like it's the dangerous misinformation where they say like it changes your genes, it changes your DNA. It's complete. That is complete farce. It doesn't do that. It doesn't work that way. Or they're putting a chip in you, or they're making you
magnetizing you, or something.
Yeah, well, the magnetizing thing I think is a level of stupid that like I could believe people falling for the DNA changing and all that if you're paranoid enough. But the magnetism thing, I think is just so fantastical that if you're believing that, you are like, I could trick you into anything. Yeah. Like, if I really wanted to, man, I could I should be able to start I'm gonna start raking it in by just becoming a piece of shit grifter who watch it. Hey, guess what? I have a new fan, the guy from Mumford and Son, because I'm the new Andy and you know, look, I also speak with an accent now, some fancy variant, some made up thing. Talk like I'm on Asgard.
Well, kind of like encompassing all this is this kind of drumbeat we've been seeing of businesses post-pandemic trying to figure out how they can squeeze more dollars out of people. And there's a lot of people saying that people won't work anymore.
This is claim. You see these bullshit signs. You see those idiots that fall for the crap of like, oh, look, McDonald's is you know, they're gonna replace you with machines. You keep asking for the $15, and then I feel like the whole minimum wage conversation kind of died after Kristen Sinema did her little thumbs down dance.
Yeah.
Like, after that, I really feel like the whole $15 minimum wage thing. I feel like there's been supposedly there's a retaliation. I believe some of this is manufactured though by the companies. They're claiming, like some places are claiming that their staff is too small, like Expected Lays, like at fast food places. No one wants to work here. No one wants to. Well, okay. Well, then why don't you go get your fucking your machines that you claim you were going to get? Go get your machine. Like, go get. I mean, Walmart at the end of the day can put all the self-serving fucking cash registers, self-checkout cash registers, but at the end of the day, they still need people to stock the shelves.
Yeah, they need people to stock the shelves. They need people to they need a certain number of people.
They have to monitor the fucking self-checkout thing. It's so stupid. It's like,
it's interesting. I know I saw, and this wasn't my own original idea, but I was tweeting the other day about like, it feels like we're kind of in the midst of a workers' rebellion. You know what I mean? Like, not an organized one or a planned one or anything, but like, there's a lot of people that are like, I think the coronavirus made people realize like, man, working from home is really important to me. You know, like,
I like having that extra hour a day or 2 hours a day that I didn't have because I had to fucking travel. I like not spending. I just saved hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year because I don't have to fucking, get gas and get in the car and all these things. But I guess it's the other thing though. That's more like the professional jobs or whatever. I'm talking about like the service industry, all this stuff, the companies that claim people don't want to work there. Well, you know what? Pay them more. Supposedly Biden was interviewed and he said that they asked him a question about that, and Biden said, pay them more and you'll get employees.
I see.
But I think some of these companies are lying. I think some of these companies don't want to hire more people. They want a leaner, meaner staff, as I like to call it. They don't want to pay people. And what they'll do is they'll put a sign up saying like, oh, they'll claim no one wants to work here. I think there's some legal shit involved with that. Like companies have to hire people. I don't know. There's certain things like that. Like I know when with layoffs, you can't just lay off one person.
Right.
If a company wants to do a layoff, they have to lay off multiple people.
Right.
They have to because they have to it's like there's like paperwork involved. It's not firing. Like I know this for a fact because I used to work for this company and they got rid of this person.
Yeah.
They were trying to get rid of this high salary person. And they couldn't, I guess, legally just fire them or something. They had like some kind of contract or whatever. So they created a scenario with a layoff. And they laid off like 4 other people who got just screwed so they could lay this person off. I thought that was like the most fucked up thing. I was like, and I know, so I don't know. I think some of these companies, like, I don't think they really want to hire people. I think they want that sign up. And they want to keep small staff because they don't want to pay people.
Well, that is true. That's always been true to some extent. Like there's a name for it too. It's I forget. I remember looking for jobs previously and there always being positions available, but no one's ever getting hired there.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like a planned. It's like a planned vacancy or something. They especially in the state, like. They want the money in their budget. A lot of times, maybe like if you have a franchise, you've agreed to hire so many people per, shift or whatever to keep the franchise name good or whatever. So I think you may be right with some of that. I didn't really consider all that before. But
there's so much bullshit where people just take one picture from one place in one part of the country. It could have been from fucking 5 years ago, for all you know, too.
Yeah.
And they put that on the internet, so they say, look, no one wants to work. That. But I would also say that backfire because it's like, maybe no one wants to work because no one wants to work at your shitty job, get treated like shit by shitty customers, get hurt, injured, fucking grease burns, and
you can get anybody to work anywhere for the right amount of money, pretty much.
Fucking starvation wages where people are like realizing like I'm spending half my paycheck to get here.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing is that there were instances, and we had always made like a decent, like middle of the road living. But like when we were younger, my wife and I, there were times where we'd look at it and say like, look, between gas and childcare and this and that and whatever, it makes more sense for you not to work. One of us not to work,
Yeah, I worked at this company, like one of my first jobs, and I think they screwed up and paid me wrong, but they gave me like such a low salary. And I was like looking at it, I was doing like the math, and I was like, oh my God, I'm like, just the cost of like the train bill a month.
Yeah.
Get here. That's just that one cost. I'm like, it's not even worth. I don't know if it's gonna be like worth working here. Like,
yeah. Prior to this, I paid a minimum of like $50 or $60 a week in tolls. And lunches out, like, because I never got my shit together to pack my lunch because, I never had enough time.
You also want you want to get the fuck out. You want to eat something.
Oh yeah,
that typical human thing.
And but like it was just crazy the amount of money you're spending on tolls and gas and food out, and then the various like whatever you do, and it's just I don't know. It's
what I heard too. Like. You always see like some of these companies that have like these internships that don't pay.
Yeah.
And then you find out the reality is it's almost like it's like this technically like it's a very classist thing to do because what they'll do is the internships will be filled with like rich kids and kids of like CEOs and stuff because they could afford to not get paid.
Right.
They could afford to, get this internship and people who actually need to work for a living will not be able to get these awesome internships that will lead to potential work. Yeah. That's like they do it on purpose. Actually, that's a known fact. They do that. Some companies are so big they charge people for internships.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember Lucasfilm, you had to pay to intern there.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah. I interned as a teacher back a million years ago, and I basically taught a class for free. I was like a free teacher, you know. I mean, it was now it's a little less lucrative than that because they would they'd have a supervising teacher and stuff. But yeah, the whole thing's a racket. So.
But I mean, like, I think the whole thing with companies, they won't have a minimum wage. They're not going to do. Who knows? Next time they're going to fucking vote on a minimum wage.
Right.
It doesn't seem like it's going to happen. It's absolutely insane that it's 2021 in the USA, and we're more than halfway into 2021, and we're still at $7.25 an hour in the USA. When $7.25 doesn't even pay for a meal in most places.
That's crazy. So
I mean, it's like disgusting. And we talk about
$7.25 an hour.
And you know what? I think there's people who found ways to make money non-traditionally. Now, I'm not talking about like hooking or anything like that.
Right.
But I mean, people are selling drugs. I mean, there's people who found ways of like making money, especially with the internet, like buying and selling things,
reselling stuff. There's a ton of people
and you can look at it and be like, they realize like they're doing it their own, and they're or unfortunately they're doing those stupid like Uber or one of those things, but they're kind of working for their own. They probably could be pulling in more money than they would these places. Someone will be like, oh well, you don't have health insurance, you don't have this, and they'd be like, well, if I worked at McDonald's, I don't get health insurance either. At most of them I don't. And if I did, could I afford the insurance? You know what I mean? Even if they offer it to me, could I afford it? So if you're just some like person in your 20s or whatever, or younger or older, and you're like, I can make more money this way. Either way, I'm not gonna have fucking insurance anyway.
My guess is that you're right. A lot of people supplement their income with like babysitting and doing yard work, and I'm talking about adults too.
Well, I'm not talking about like there's just other ways of making money that people have figured out over the years. That I mean, the only thing that will suck is like if you're not paying towards the Social Security, you're not going to benefit from it. That's the thing. When you work and they take it out, it collects in, and if you're not paying towards it, that's a different story. But again, why am I going to work at this company, this shitty job that is I have to drive to figure out? I have all these crazy rules. I have horrible customers I have to deal with. I get treated like shit by my boss. I can't take a fucking day off. I can't do any of this stuff. I got to pay for childcare, who knows, whatever it is. And they're paying me like $9 an hour.
Yeah.
Like,
fuck
that. Like, I mean, like, people have to work. Of course, there's idiots that think people aren't working because of the stimulus. The stimulus did not pay. Now, there's shitty. We're going to talk about this in a second. Our piece of shit governor made sure that what he got rid of some extended unemployment or something.
A lot of red state governors got rid of the extra unemployment under the predicate that like it would disincentivize people from returning to work, and people needed to return to work.
Yeah, that's bullshit. It's more like the people who pay me to be in this position benefit from me being in this position. He's not like, oh, people need to work. They need to.
You never see red state governors telling wealthy people they don't need any more tax cuts. They need to,
Yeah.
It's
weird. It's almost like all these states, because it's like they also voted against the Medicaid.
Yep, Medicaid
expansion, because Abbott's a piece of shit, sociopath.
Yeah.
Why would people vote for this guy? It's almost like they don't vote for this guy. There's so much voter suppression here that they don't want you to vote.
Yeah, I mean, they clearly don't want you to vote. I mean, that is like the Republican strategy is to get as few people voting, and within that few, get the right people voting.
Abbott is trying to, what is it, July 8th? He's doing like a special session, and it's basically trying to get that vote again, and I guess some other things.
I guess this is where we can kind of transition to Abbott here. He did call another special session. He's refusing to say what they're going to be voting on, which I can't even.
We know what they're voting on. Yeah. One of them is to literally make sure people can't vote.
Well, I don't know. I have been hearing about people thinking that maybe this will backfire backfire on the GOP, that this will fire people up and actually get them out to vote. That's possible. I mean, I don't see that as being impossible, but the voting laws here, like the ones they're proposing, are so insidious that they have, like, A, they make it harder to vote, and B, they make it harder to throw people's votes out, and then C, they make it so that partisan election officials
they could throw out an election.
Yeah,
they could do what Trump wanted to do with the 2020 election.
So it's hard to see, like, I don't know. I mean, like, the gulf between the people that want to do that shit and what I think are like regular people is just getting so wide. I mean,
it's just, he's such a ghoul. Like, he literally voted against this one's like almost comically villainous. Abbott voted against what was it? A thing that basically protected dogs.
Yeah, it basically said that you can't put, like, some people put like a literal chain around their dog's neck, like a industrial.
I mean, there's times I want to do that to my dog Snoopy,
but and then leave them like roped to a pole outside in the heat, and it was basically, it was like a real simple, like, hey, don't.
It's a it was like such a layup. Like both parties, both sides voted for this thing to get rid of it. Like, you would think, like, this is one of these corny ass bills that, like, it's just a layup. Anyone can. It's like, okay, cool. This makes me not look like a complete monster. But Greg Abbott's like, nope, I'm a piece of shit, and I'm gonna vote against this.
Yeah.
He even posted on Twitter his dogs.
Yeah.
And like either right before or afterwards, and people were like, "You psycho! Like, did you?" I think I don't know if I wrote, but someone wrote, "Did you shoot your dogs? Did you shoot your dogs right after this tweet?"
It's crazy. I don't get that either. I know in Florida, here's my guess. I don't know any of this for a fact. In Florida, they passed all these laws that basically allow animal abuse, like gruesome animal abuse, and they made it illegal to photograph animal abuse.
Oh, that's weird too.
And it was basically
illegal to PETA or any of these companies, so they can't basically tell people that they're committing crimes.
Right. They made it illegal to photograph like farms and ranches and stuff like that.
That's insane. That's
it's
so transparent.
It is. It's disgusting. And I don't know. The rancher in Florida, it was like farmers got together and say, hey, look, we fuck up cows like routinely, when they're sick or whatever. We just like bulldoze them off the pasture and then shoot them in the head or something. And like with literal bulldozers. And like every once in a while, someone would photograph them doing it and it would be a big deal. And they bought, I think it was Rick Scott at the time was governor. He's like, yeah, you can't photograph that anymore. And it's perfectly fine to do that.
Rick Scott is really evil.
Yeah, he's like just disgustingly evil. And the weird thing is, like, from what I understand, he grew up fairly poor with like a single mom, and he should know better from personal experience.
Maybe there was like the beginning of Citizen Kane.
I more like the beginning of the Joker.
I don't know, because the Joker, at least even in the end, had some. The Joker of the movie, not the Joker the villain, not the one that wants to turn all the fish in Gotham Harbor into Joker fish for the giggles. We're talking about like Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
Yeah,
the big enemy was austerity. A different Joker, a Joker of the people.
You would think though that Rick Scott would know better.
Well, Richard Nixon supposedly came from super humble beginnings, and we know who Richard Nixon is. I mean, yeah, you think there's some, just because they come from humble beginnings doesn't mean they're not going to turn out to be a fucking outright piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, like,
some people have human nature where I got mines. Like Greg Abbott is one of the most famous things about Greg Abbott is that he's in a wheelchair. Yep. He wasn't born that way or anything like that. He got into an accident when he was younger. I don't know if like a tree fell on or something like that. Happened to be outside of a lawyer's home.
It was a weird thing. I thought he was like jogging and a tree fell on him or something.
His career wasn't going that great or something like that. and he made like I don't know, he's made like millions off of this, and he still gets paid from this. He still gets paid. But what did he do? What did he do? One of the biggest things that he did was to make sure that other people who suffered accidents will not get the Greg Abbott treatment.
No,
which is so telling of what kind of piece of shit he is.
It's super on brand.
I mean, like, again, this guy, he's just a ghoul. They want to, like, what do they do? Like, we're in Texas, we talk about this, but ERCOT and everything, any day, something bad could happen here. We don't know. ERCOT basically said, hey, can you keep your air conditioner on 90 or something?
Yeah.
No, it's 78 during the day, 82 at night.
82 at night.
Why not just stick my hand in an oven? It would probably be cooler.
Jesus.
That is insane. Like 82 at night. The house should not be 82 with the air conditioner off.
I was gonna say that's like, if it's at 82, that's when you call the AC guy.
Yeah, at night. Yeah, like fuck. And what do these clowns do? Oh, what's that guy's name? What's his name? Dan Paxton.
Yeah.
Didn't he put in something recently that basically made it to protect ERCOT?
I did hear something about that. I don't know. I didn't look at.
He basically wants to make it that no one can do anything about it. Basically, he's protecting this company that clearly is gonna fuck something up soon, and they're gonna get away with it if they do.
Yeah. Well, it is bizarre.
And it's backed by Abbott.
Yeah, I know this is kind of in this group of things we were talking about. We both were talking about that big building collapse in Florida today.
Rhonda. So in Florida, where was this in Florida?
I want to say Surfside. It was near Miami. And I do want to say it was Surfside. Surfside is the name of the town, and it is kind of like there's like a key, kind of like where what's that famous thing, like South Beach is, and it is in there. So it's a very wealthy area, kind of in the northern end of Miami Beach.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, like, a building collapsed like overnight on itself. There was no you would think like it was a terrorist bombing or something. It looked like something like after we bomb like
Beirut or something.
Yeah, like you see like the side of a building, a whole half a building basically just caved in. 99 people are missing supposedly. They have one confirmed dead, which I find that hard to believe. Now Ron DeSantis is known for hiding bodies. Yeah, he did that with COVID, so I'm sure they're gonna hide the bodies here too. And then we bring up DeSantis and Abbott. They're kind of both running to be the biggest piece of shit. And they're not. It's almost like they're not really doing anything to protect their states. So it's like, what I tweeted this today. Let me see if I can find it. As the building I live in collapses on me, I lay dying, happily knowing that Governor DeSantis prevented a trans child from participating in an after-school sport. I mean, that's what this clown's doing. I mean, he's made it legal for like people to run over protesters. The guy is doing all these things. You said he's like trolling, but I think that makes it too playful sounding when you say that.
It is. It's a weird strategy, and I don't know any of this, but like. Today on Twitter, some guy, a political writer, came out and said basically that he has noticed DeSantis is trolling people, and that like this week DeSantis said he wanted to make it so that any student had to register their political beliefs.
Yeah, which is like straight up fascistic right there.
And then the previous week, he was going to send the Florida State Police to the Texas border. And the week before that, it was something else. And he's like, you know what? Like, DeSantis has this pattern of like announcing something like super fucked up that he has no intention of doing, that would be patently illegal. And then he just sort of like drops it out there, and then the next week he does something else.
Well, it gets him on Fox News. It gets him to be the most Trumpy of all the Republicans.
That was the Trump playbook, is to say something like super fucking out there.
Besides the school thing with the, colleges where you have to tell people your affiliation, which is just fucking insane.
Yeah.
I mean, like, these fuckers who always like to talk about 1984 and all that, that is like,
oh, it totally is. Yeah.
He had some other thing where he wanted schools, like elementary, like schools, public schools, that they have to teach like the positives or something.
Yeah.
Like they have to teach about what's it called? Starts with a T. Type of government, totalitarian governments, and communism, of course, communism, of course. That they have to be taught this in school, how bad it is, and it's just bizarre. Yeah, he's just like trolling people. But then you see this building thing happen, and I'm not saying this is DeSantis's fault, but I am going to say that, it kind of is, because it's like, what's he doing? The state's eventually just going to sink into the ocean. It is like, I found it really ironic that, Florida had a chance to elect Gillum. I don't think Gillum would have been perfect, but I don't think Gillum would be going on TV and doing what DeSantis does. And that building would probably have fallen down even if Gillum was governor.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think there would have been more environmental, measures put into the state. I mean, like, I made a joke and said, does Florida have any building codes? Someone's like, yeah, it's not like Florida raw dogs hurricanes.
Yeah, well, Florida actually, the one thing,
it should, in theory, have good building codes, but clearly not.
Florida does have really excellent building codes. It really does. And they're real rigid and they're real strict. And I lived in Florida for a long time, and it was onerous. You'd have these things called 4-point inspections where they would come in and like you had to have certain nails affix your roof to the house, and it was rigorous. And I'll tell you, I had a house built in like 1954 in Florida, little 1-story cement brick house, cinder block house, and it took direct hits from like several big significant hurricanes. We got directly hit by Irma, Charlie, Wilma, a couple others, and the house did fine. So the building codes are fine. The problem though is Florida's like thin. Like there's not a lot of Florida under Florida.
You can't.
It's just a shelf floating on the water, There's sinkholes everywhere, and like down in Florida, like they fuck with the water all the time. And I don't know. I think, to me, the difference between like Ron DeSantis being here and Andrew Gillum being here is Ron DeSantis is going to cover this up and nothing's going to happen and no lessons will be learned. And with Andrew Gillum, he might be like, hey, instead of building another high rise on this small little key off the coast of Florida that's sinking, we should look at like sustainable building zoning regulations.
Has Ron DeSantis even acknowledged it yet?
Yeah, he was down there and he was all sad and everything.
Didn't Biden tweet something like he's basically waiting on Ron DeSantis to declare a national emergency or something?
He was waiting for Ron DeSantis to ask for help. Which I think is hilarious.
That's trolling right there on Biden's part, which is good.
Well, the big deal is that that's technically how it's supposed to happen, is the governor is supposed to ask the president for help. But I like how Biden's like, DeSantis can come and ask me for help. We'll send it when he asks. I mean, that ball's in your court. We're not going to like lift this for you.
Yeah, I think it's amazing that I don't know. I just think he's such a piece of shit. And they said that like that building, like, I mean, you have like bad like salt erosion and I mean, what the fuck? What kind of shit? Again, the quote Donald Trump, what kind of shithole country do we live in? Where like this is a building just collapsed on its own. It wasn't a bombing. It wasn't no earthquake.
Yeah.
There was no hurricane, not even a tropical storm. Just collapsed in on itself.
My guess is that they're going to find some. My real guess is like a sinkhole. That would make perfect sense.
You said that, but I heard it. I don't think I don't think that's the case. I think like erosion and supposedly like. Again, I'm not an engineer or anything, but I'm hearing people talking about like how it's held up on piers, and supposedly those beams or whatever are just like, I don't know. Like, I mean, this country has a really bad infrastructure problem to begin with. All you have to do is drive like out of state drive, and you'll see just disheveled like roads in shambles and like just I don't know. We don't. I hate like when people are like we live in the best country. Like, do we? No.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like
in the best country for some things we benefit from.
There's
things I don't know, like buildings collapsing in on itself. I mean, like
that's tough. Yeah, that is like that is a terrible fear of mine. This is an older building. I don't know. I'll wait and see what happens with it. But my guess is going to have something to do with the land under it, and that the limestone kind of deteriorated under it, or there's a sinkhole of some sort, or something like that. Because otherwise, I don't know. Like, I'm not an engineer. I don't know. That's just my guess, having lived in Florida and being a layperson. That
who did it?
Who?
Jesus.
Yeah, well, yeah, could have been. It could have been.
I mean, probably. I'm sure DeSantis will tell people that.
Yeah, he's just like DeSantis is like such a shit person.
I just can't believe that. You know what I love too? Texas and Florida. It's like they're trying. Besides the fact that like Abbott and DeSantis are trying to outghoul each other, right?
Yeah,
they're trying to outghoul each other. They're also like trying to sell like Florida, like they really want to like take ownership out of it. Like they want to sell it as if it's like this like right wing Shangri-La.
Yeah.
All the like the MAGA chud media people are like claiming they're moving it. They're leaving California or leaving this state. They're leaving this. And they're moving to Texas or Florida because everything's amazing. There was a couple of weeks ago, if someone should pull up this clip. I'm surprised it hasn't been pulled up yet. Sean Hannity, who does not live in Florida, he lives in New York, was talking to Ron DeSantis, talking about how great everything is in Florida, how perfect it is. And people were like laughing. I think I said like the only infrastructure that probably works in Florida is maybe Disney World. Like, get the fuck out of here. Sean Hannity doesn't even live here, but they're like trying to sell Florida as this like, it's this right-wing heaven, come to Florida. We'll accept you here as a MAGA chud.
Yeah, Florida's weird. Every time I think Florida's going to go blue, it really doesn't quite.
I just think that way. I think if DeSantis remains in governor next year and they don't gain like more congressmen or more mayors or try to get a senator in there, if Democrats can't do that, then they need to like just pull their money out of fucking Florida and focus on Texas. I think Texas is winnable. And focus on like getting Ohio back and stuff like that. Fucking let Florida just become this fucking gator infested, bug infested state that just will fucking collapse in on itself because people are just rather see trans kids not be able to participate in sports.
Yeah, Florida's weird because Floridians are almost a second priority to non-Floridians.
Right, you said it's because it's such a tourist.
Yeah, it is. Like Florida used to have like tourism's always been Florida's big industry. Hotels, restaurants, second homes, golf, Disney, whatever. Florida used to be able to fall back on agriculture, but like the citrus industry is fucked because of that citrus greening and citrus canker, which has ravaged the whole place. And most of our citrus now comes from like South America. I mean, most of the orange juice you get is not from Florida or California. It's from like Venezuela.
Like Idaho potatoes don't even come from Idaho.
Yeah, probably. I mean, like those Ida used to be like the Oregon, Idaho potatoes, and like with globalism, most of our stuff comes from somewhere else anyway. It just does. So Florida really, like when they're passing laws, they're less worried about Floridians and more worried about like non-Floridians. It's a real fucked up dynamic, I don't know. I mean,
I don't know. I just think like I just think at some point if Democrats can't win in Florida in one of these upcoming races, they just need to like Florida should just become like, I mean, it kind of already is.
Yeah.
I like, oh, you got to win Florida to win the election. No, you don't.
No, you don't need Florida. Florida's weird. I mean, like it's just a very different state, and it's so big and it's so diverse. And there's like north of I-4 is essentially the South, and south of I-4 is essentially the Caribbean. You know, I mean, it's a very odd dynamic.
Yeah, I just like I said, I used to hear about how Florida was this thing, and then after like 2000 election, it was just like downhill, you know, for like, and man, I just really thought this last election would.
I did too.
I was shocked that he won. I was like, I saw that debate. He was so DeSantis was such a milksop. I was like, why would?
Well, I don't know. I do know that I like the candidates they're running. I like Nikki Fried a lot. I think she's real good. I like Val Demings a lot. I think she's real good.
Are they both running? They're not both running for governor. Isn't Val Demings running for Senate?
Val Demings is running for Senate against Marco Rubio, and she's good. She's
I think she might. I think I think that's a strong candidate. I don't really know much about the other woman.
Nikki Fried is the agricultural commissioner in Florida, which is a cabinet level position. She's the only statewide elected Democrat.
Yeah.
She's solid. I mean, she's like a little moderate, you know, but she's like, she's
fucking anything's gonna be better than this.
Yeah.
Guy's. It's not even like, okay, it's not even that Ron DeSantis is bad, like on like his politics is bad. The problem with him and Abenham is just they prescribe so much to right-wing media bullshit.
Yeah.
It's like they just want to be like the next Trump. They want to be like the star of Fox News. They want to do these like stunts. Like you saw that one stunt that DeSantis did when he was signing in something and it was like closed off, but it was like aired live on Fox.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? He like made sure reporters couldn't come in, but it was like broadcasting on. And it's just like it's so much performative bullshit. That's the thing. It drives me even more up the wall.
There's a lot of stuff where like if you really think, because I get worked up pretty easily, and there's a lot of stuff where I'm like, okay, this pisses me off. It's wrong, but it's not going to affect me per se. You know, I'm taking on other people's battles. Like if they say we're not going to teach critical race theory in school, that's okay for me because I'm going to teach my kid it. The principles of like systemic racism.
It's not okay though.
I know. I'm just saying like. It's not like going to knock on my door and affect me like in an immediate way, you know. And it's sometimes it's frustrating because I look around and like I'm like, well, why aren't the people more affected by this marching, you know, or why I don't know. It's kind of a bullshit dynamic. That's how the Republicans win in stuff like this. But I don't know. A lot of what DeSantis does seems designed to piss people off, not necessarily to fuck with their lives. Now he does do that too. You know, I'm just saying that's why I think they are successful because they pick and choose the people they fuck over. Like DeSantis will go after, he'll bully trans children.
Well, that's because that's what the right wing is doing, and that's what right wing media is doing at the time. He wants to be one of the top people for it.
Yep, and it's a relatively small group. You know,
he wants to run for president.
Yeah.
So but when he runs for president and let's say he wins the primary, right?
Yeah.
See, the problem was Trump was such an anomaly. Trump was an anomaly that did not even win the election. Like everyone, I love it. It's like he became president. All those people try to mythologize him like as if he did all these effective things.
Like he was this political genius or whatever.
Yeah, they just took advantage of like voter apathy towards a candidate that people were like, yeah, we'll vote for her. We're not like in love with her, and was able to and they used fucking Facebook algorithm bullshit and like just getting in the news. But like he didn't win. But if he did win, he won because also he was Donald Trump, the guy from The Apprentice. Ron DeSantis isn't going to get national. People aren't going to like him on a national level. He sounds like a fucking douchebag.
I don't think they have to because I think that's what all these voting reforms on the Republican side are about. Is how do we get
the voter suppressions that they're
our next candidate's not going to be popular. He's not going to play well nationally. How do we get him in the office anyway? That's it. You know, I mean, so
just make sure that your votes get thrown out, you know, like even if like Ron DeSantis, let's say, this is Texas. He still wins it because Abbott put in a law that signed in something that basically allowed right-wing legislator to be like, we don't believe it. They voted on Sunday.
Right.
It'll
be something like that. So
they were carpooling. They weren't supposed to carpool.
Yeah.
Votes don't count.
Someone gave him a drink of water while he was going.
Yep, somebody spit in his mouth. Force field. I have a force field.
Well, turn
off the video game system.
What? It will be interesting. It's frustrating, and I guess this is kind of bleeding over into our next topic, because there's a huge machine supporting it, like OANN and the Tucker Carlson and
Fox.
Yep, and all the, like, if you go, I have like 6 or 7 Republican senators whose Twitter feed I check routinely. I don't follow them, but I search them and I find them. They all say the same shit at the same time every morning, because they have this.
They get the marching orders.
Yeah, they get a brief in the morning and they say, "Hey, go talk about this," and then they do. And they're pretty effective at it. And Joe Biden, and it's weird because Joe Biden started off super progressive, but now he's kind of like stuck in this, I'm going to work bipartisanship, and we're not going to. And
I think he went back to being what everyone said he was, which is just Joe Biden.
Yeah. Which is, look, if that's kind of what we thought we were getting. So it's not too disappointing.
Like what Thanos said, reality unfortunately has I don't know, whatever. Remember when they Gamora kills Thanos, and then it's like he had the reality gem, and he was like, I don't know. He said something about reality being disappointing. It's a cool clip. You can probably find it on Google. You can Google it, find the clip. I'm just gonna butcher it.
But it is, I don't know. It's disappointing in that sense that
it's like the Senate is just such a shit show. It's like, I feel like the Senate is designed to just block things. And right now we have these 2 senators that suck. It's like, all 50 Republicans suck. And then there's 2 Democratic senators that just outright suck. And they're doing the fucking legwork for the shitty Republicans. And there was, there's these infrastructure bills and all these things are just getting watered down. Biden had this, like, he's talking about this bipartisanship thing, and it was with the usual suspects of right-wing Mitt Romney, that Susan Collins, the woman who sounds like a Dalek. Who else was on the stage? There was like one other Republican that
Mitt Romney, Susan Collins, probably was it Murkowski?
I don't even know if it was her. It doesn't matter. It was just this. They made an agreement. They're talking about bipartisanship, and it's like, okay, here's the thing about bipartisanship. Bipartisanship benefits only corporations.
Yeah.
Doesn't benefit you. When they talk about bipartisanship, it's like, well, I was like listening to Susan Collins, and it's like nails on a chalkboard. She is literally.
She is like a Dalek.
We worked on this thing, and for the American people, exterminate. Exterminate. That's horrible. I was like, Doctor Who. That voice is so awful. But she was talking about this bullshit about like bipartisanship and the American people. I was like, I couldn't even stomach. I'm like 44 years old. I've heard this bullshit all my life.
Yep. Yeah.
There's no such thing as bipartisanship. It's like bipartisanship. When you hear that, it exists to design to set people back. Why is there bipartisanship here when the Democrats have the power, but there's no bipartisanship when the Republicans have the power? Mitch McConnell's running things. We're supposed to just sit back and accept that he's the Grim Reaper, and this is what the Republicans do. We're okay with this. We just sit back. Bipartisanship doesn't exist. Oh, you want bipartisanship? Better make sure the Democrats win next time. And it's like, I don't want bipartisanship. I want their agenda. I want your agenda to be gone because I don't like what you stand for.
Right.
And I want these progressive things to come in, but then this bullshit. Bipartisanship benefits huge corporations, and that's it. It's made to like just halt progress during a Democratic presidency, so that when a Republican takes over, I don't know. It's really disengaging.
Yeah, it is. I mean, like, it's just things have gone so off the deep end. People probably say this in every time period, but it feels like we're living in a time period where there's like a significant chunk of the population that's just, well, that's just crazy. Like OANN, a One America News Network, is a cable news company, and they had the beautiful but dastardly Chanel Ryan, the newscaster who is secretly 3 Redditors in a trench coat,
or Carmen Sandiego,
or Carmen Sandiego.
She forgot how to read.
And but they were like a legitimate-ish news agency in that sense. And what was that guy saying? You told me about this.
Did you watch the clip?
I looked at the clip later. The guy was basically saying that Biden supporters should be executed. He said,
if I find it, can I play? Oh, here it is. Can I play it?
Yeah, sure.
All right, here.
Many people.
There we go.
Which raises even more questions about exactly how many people were involved in these efforts to undermine the election. Hundreds? Thousands?
So they're still pushing.
Thousands?
Yeah, the big lie.
Big lie.
Does it take to carry out a coup against the presidency? And when all the dust settles from the audit in Arizona and the potential audits in Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Nevada, and Wisconsin, what happens to all these people who were responsible for overthrowing the election? What are the consequences for traitors who meddled with our sacred democratic process and tried to steal power by taking away the voices of the American people? What happens to them? Well, in the past, America had a very good solution for dealing with such traitors. Execution.
It's just like
questions about exactly how many people
were
it's just crazy. And he's like so off the rails because the Arizona audit is just such a joke. They basically
some outside company that has no business in even doing this, and they took it to like Montana or some shit.
Yeah,
they're not even in Arizona right now.
It's so weird too, because like realistically, the Biden administration should have sent in the Department of Justice and said, "You can't do this to federal ballots. This is illegal, and you can't. This is illegal. You can't do this because you can't. You can't do this." But if they did that, then it would look, the Biden, they're covering up. You know, I mean, it's like they're kind of in a no-win situation.
But at what point do you keep letting him get away with it? Like this asshole saying on OAN, this fucking creeps. Like, well, I love like his language. He's trying to disempower his audience.
Yeah,
thinking like you are the American people, they are not. They took your presidency. Everything that's wrong in your life is their fault.
Well, that's what Trump's his new thing is like, take America back. Like they took it from you. You need to take it back.
Yeah, and that's what this guy's doing. And he's implying that like he's basically saying people need to get executed, which means some nut is going to go out and shoot somebody now.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, go ahead.
There's just, I mean, I'm like scanning through these. It's just littered with these things that are like super violent, like calls for violence. You know, Nikki Haley is I think she was in Ohio, or she was in some state in the middle of the country today, where she said we need to take America back, and it's just like this kind of like pretty violent rhetoric. And it's not like we haven't seen violence. We saw an attack on the Capitol with cops getting killed, and it's just, I don't know, it is crazy.
I mean, this rhetoric, you said Nikki Haley was like almost basically repeating what this guy said.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, like, OAN is still a network that's like on cable channels. Like people, if you have cable, which I don't have anymore, but if you have cable, you have this, you're basically paying for this piece of shit network to like push this ridiculous propaganda. Yeah. Trump fucking lost. He was an unpopular president. People didn't like him.
Yeah, it shouldn't be any surprise that he lost.
He never
got above 50% approval.
Right?
No one ever liked him.
It would have been a shock if he stayed in power. If he stayed in power, then it means the election was stolen or people didn't vote.
It was stunning that he won to begin with, and it's debatable as to whether he really won.
He didn't really win.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't, you already know he didn't win just because he lost the popular vote by over 3 million. He lost the most than anyone. I mean, it was a big deal when George W. Bush won the election by losing the popular vote by 500,000. I mean, like, this guy went in a fucking loser.
Yeah.
And yeah, the fact that anyone thinks it would have been a shock if he remained in power. I mean, we would have been. I think we were just so used to them just being like these fascist nuts that we figured they rigged the election in his favor. But this guy, though, he's just telling his fucking cloven hoof fucking audience, these fucking people that salivate over like trans kids not playing sports and like lose their shit about something they don't even understand, like, you know, theories of anything. And this guy is just fucking feeding into these people's like their hate, their fears, their worries, and
it's
and
crazy.
He's like, it's this guy's awful. This guy, like, who is this guy? He's just some like never even heard of him.
Pearson or something, I think it was.
It's like this shit shouldn't like this shit. This is like screaming fire in a fucking movie.
Oh yeah.
Like, this isn't freedom of speech right here. This guy is literally telling people to go kill people in the name of like some conspiracy that has been disproven a million times.
Yeah.
Ridiculous. I don't. That's what I mean. Like, this whole bipartisan thing is bullshit. It's like, dude, you have the power, you have to wield it. You have to wield power when you have it, because these so-called Mitt Romney and Susan Collins and whatever other chuds they had on stage, yeah, they play a game that they're gonna vote against whatever this watered down thing is anyway. They'll get like Mitt Romney to vote for it, but like it'll be like 4 Republicans shy of it passing.
It's ridiculous. And when the Republicans are in charge, they wield power without mercy and without any thought of the consequences. And then the Democrats come in and Nancy Pelosi today said that she was going to convene a select committee to look at the January 6th riot. And the Republicans immediately convened like 7 select committees to look at Benghazi, and then looked at it for like a year with the express purpose of damaging Hillary Clinton.
They admitted to it on TV.
On TV.
They said it
over and over again. And they had hearings and testimony. And now the Democrats are doing, that was like 4 people involved in a terrorist attack overseas in a place known for terrorist attacks.
And it has happened so many times in the past that it's not even like an uncommon thing.
Right. If someone said, "Oh, we were in a terrorist attack in Libya," I'd be like, "Yeah, okay, that happens in Libya.
Maybe we shouldn't be there."
Right. So the Democrats are finally going to do a select committee over this huge thing, and you know that the Republicans are going to make a farce of it, and you know that the Democrats are going to subpoena people. Like Clinton got subpoenaed, and none
of those people are going to show up.
None of them are going to show up.
You know, Hillary Clinton, of course, like everyone, like, oh, she sat in this thing and she made Trey Gowdy look stupid. But here's the thing: she lost by showing up.
Yeah,
she should never have showed up. She should have been like, "No, I'm not going to fuck you." But she took the bait.
She should have just held up her middle finger to the camera and said,
"Took the Sunday morning bait." Yeah, the American people don't have to watch 9 hours of her making Trey Gowdy look bad. They don't. All they have to see is that she showed up. Donald Trump never showed up to anything. He made sure most of his people never showed up to anything.
None of them ever showed up. Yeah,
because showing up is already admitting in their eyes. That's how they look at it, and American people see it. So I think, you know, looking back at it, I'm like, no, it's probably a mistake. She should never show up. Like you said, she should have fucking gave a finger and said, "Fuck you."
Yeah, that's
bullshit.
it.
You're wasting a tax dollars. American tax dollars. You know, I'm not going to send this.
She should have been like, you think I'm going to go in and answer to Trey fucking Gowdy, that ghoulish clown? No fucking way. That guy's not serious. He's a serial liar. He's un-American. Just gone like full aggro on him that'd have been the end of that. And I know that when the Democrats start they won't even subpoena them. They'll be like, hey, Vice President Pence, can you come and talk? Oh, you don't want to? Okay, well, send in your lawyer and we'll talk about maybe off camera, unofficial testimony, where you don't really answer questions, but I don't know.
I could see almost Mike Pence showing up.
Yeah, Pence might.
Because he's already trying to distance himself from Trump.
Well, it is weird. Like,
he wants to run for president, even though I think at that point, I think he has no chance in hell of running for president. No. He loves the MAGA.
Yeah. The only, and it wouldn't have worked, but the only chance he would have had would have been to come out sharp against Trump. There's only 2 lanes in the Republican Party now, and one is super crowded. It's a bunch of insane people racing to lick Trump's boots. And the other lane is former Republican politicians.
Right. You're a former Republican politician who's done an MSNBC to tell people like, hey, I'm not a bad guy. But speaking of which, I wanted to bring that up. We talked about this real quick. Whoops. Where is it? Oh, it was where is it? The Michigan thing, the Michigan GOP thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is real quick. What are they doing in Michigan, the Republican delegates?
Well, I guess this is at the state level, not the federal level, but the state Republican senators, the state senators, GOP in Michigan, got together and investigated the claims. And they released a report today. And it was like really amazing because they said clearly Joe Biden won the election. The election was fair and legit. And there's a lot of people grifting off of claiming that it wasn't, and they should maybe be investigated and prosecuted.
Like that guy from OAN.
Yeah. I mean, I think they were talking more like Michael Flynn, who's doing a tour where...
Oh, yeah. Michael Flynn, Rudy Giuliani, that lady.
I know you're talking about. Sidney Powell.
Yeah.
That's who they're really talking about. But like, that is the weird part here is that there is not a growing, I wouldn't say it's growing, but there's like there is another lane in the Republican Party of Republicans that are,
but there's a big but here.
Yeah.
It's Michigan is now back to being a blue state.
Yeah.
It went to Biden. You got a Republican, you got a Democratic governor. And you see this when the state is bluish and the Republicans want to be able to compete. They can't run as like a fire-breathing red wing, wing dragon. They have to like pretend that they're moderate or whatever. Good example, talking about MSNBC.
Yeah.
With that is I feel like MSNBC, the joke is that MSNBC went from being kind of like a Fox News wannabe in the beginning. Uh-huh. They fired Donnie, put Michael Savage on and stuff.
Yeah.
Keith Olbermann came in. Well, he was there, but he started speaking out and stuff, and he kind of helped change MSNBC into more of like a progressive or leaning progressive. Rachel Maddow was there. There was a lot of other people that were there. They're not there anymore, but they got almost too left leaning for them. Yeah. Almost got too left leaning. That MSNBC started sneaking in like former disinfected Republicans into the mix, or people who had contracts. Like Nicole Wallace was part of the George W. Bush administration, and also originally worked on the McCain campaign.
Yeah,
kind of got edged out and left. I think probably right before, definitely after Palin came in.
Yeah, I would say
very outspoken and shifted, and then now she's one of their regular newscasters. And the joke is that Keith Olbermann kind of helped MSNBC become like a anti-George W. Bush network at the time, right? Yeah. Like an anti-George W. Bush, anti-Iraq war network. And now it converted back and it's got taken over by former George W. Bush people, and it's turned into a rehabilitate Republican project instead, which I think is really funny. Or rehabilitate George W. Bush's administration people. Like, I'm surprised they haven't given like Dick Cheney's wife a show yet or something.
Yeah.
But Nicole Wallace was talking about something. I don't mind her. I thought she was horrible when her whole cadence has changed over the years. Like she was awful when she was working for George W. Bush and everything. But like, she's to the average person who doesn't really know much about her. They would just think she was like a newscaster or whatever.
She seems fine. Seems fine.
She seems like a good egg. Someone who has no fucking clue. They just saw her to be like, I don't know, she delivers the news for me. But I don't know where she stands politically still. I'm so sure she's still an active Republican in some way. But she's talking about like this thing where like I guess they had a primary something in Jersey, or this was like a month ago or something. Mm-hmm. And she said that she was making a big deal about how the pro-Trump candidate lost in this primary to the anti-Trump Republican, as if that's a good thing, right? And I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, where is it? What state? Oh, Jersey. Who the fuck cares? Like, it's a blue state. I mean, like, are there crazy right-wingers in Jersey? Yeah, but I want to see that. And of course, she says that. She doesn't say that though. She doesn't say, "Well, yeah, it's Jersey. It's blue state." She's just trying to make a big deal about it. It's like, oh look, gee, not every Republican's a psychopath. Well, I mean, it's a blue state Republican. It's very different. At the end of the day, they probably still push the same ideology. Oh, yeah. They just don't like Trump, or they remove themselves from Trump. They're still voting for the same crap.
Right.
Again, it's like MSNBC has become like a rehabilitation project for the Republican Party, or at least an aspect of it, or to trick people in more progressive states into thinking that the Republican Party is not all bad.
Yeah.
But they're still voting in Kavanaugh either way.
They're part of the machine. It's like even if you're just helping them consolidate power, you're just as big of a problem. You know what I mean?
Also, it's just marketing too. Like we are marketing. Like, well, and we want to sell the same product, but we know that like we can't have like the green giant on the vegetables in this state, so we take them off in the state. We still sell the vegetables because we did a test, and people don't want a big green man on their vegetables. But guess what? At the end of the day, we're still selling those green beans. I think it is marketing. I mean, so it's like you get the guy who's like, well, I don't like Trump. I think he's, I do believe that Joe Biden's president. Okay, that's great. Where do you stand on this? Oh yeah, I think we should burn trans kids.
Right. Or something. Well, it is it is strange, and they're all that's the thing about the Republicans, is they're all kind of in on it lockstep, and they're coordinated. I know one of the things that we're going to talk about in this segment that we didn't really is that how they've all gotten together kind of to bait Harris into visiting
going to the border.
Yeah. And they pick something like that, and they find a issue like that the Democrats can't win at. Like, okay, so if all the Republicans get together and challenge Harris to go to the border, what are her options? She can go to the border and capitulate to them, or she can not, and she's eventually going to have to go to the border. So it just looks like she's dragging her feet going to the border.
And then Ted Cruz came out and was attacking her today about, like, I forgot, you can find his quote. It's like really funny. It was almost like, oh, why is she going to the border?
Right. I mean,
you wanted her to go to the border, you piece of shit.
So it is frustrating. I wish the Democrats could learn some things about.
The problem is, I think it's easier said than done. You have a mainstream news that also kind of goes along with it. That's, the joke about the liberal media. It's a huge farce. It's not. The media is really not liberal. It's pro-corporate. It's
pro-corporate.
It's pro-corporate, and it's become more pro-corporate over the years. It's the Sunday. If you think the media is liberal, watch Sunday morning news shows and see who's on.
Yeah, it's Chuck Todd.
Yeah, watch Meet the Press. Watch CBS and ABC shows and stuff like that. It ain't that progressive.
No.
There's the idea that there's a liberal media is a farce. It's like they call it liberal media because they didn't let Nixon get away with everything.
Yeah.
That's. All right. Well, yeah. I mean, I have nothing to really say about the Kamala going to the border.
Yeah, me neither, really.
I think it's a win-lose situation. It doesn't really matter. They don't want her to win, so it doesn't matter. So it's kind of stupid. Like you said, at some point she would have to go, but whatever. I guess let's just go into going a little longer. Giuliani lost his right
to practice
today.
Yeah, right? It got suspended in the state of New York. So that's hilarious. There's this great clip where Andrew Giuliani,
and he lost it over Trump.
Yeah, the bar said basically like he told provable lies. And then Andrew Giuliani came out with this clip that was hilarious. He filmed himself. I think it was in the Four Seasons parking lot.
Oh, his head. He makes it. He looks like a little, like a. I can't even say it. It doesn't matter. It's like his little head's just sticking out from the bottom of the camera.
It's like a ton of space above him. And
he's in the Four Seasons parking lot. Is that a joke?
I just joked about that.
Four Seasons landscaping.
Yeah.
Classic Giuliani.
He filmed him talking about these 5 Democratic judges took away my dad's law license and blah blah blah, and all you see is like his head like bobbing again.
Barely like a 5-year-old, like an 8-year-old in the 4-foot section of a pool. Like they're just.
I used to assign when I was a teacher. When I was a teacher, I had to assign my kids video projects, and this looked like all those video projects where like they just held it and like all you saw was their head.
Someone made a joke. I don't know. They said basically like he has no friends clearly because they would have like fixed the camera for him.
Yeah, or something.
He just comes. He's got like crazy Will Ferrell, crazy character energy. Like he reminds me of like a crazy Will Ferrell character.
Yeah. He completely does.
Like an unhinged, like if the whole 90 minutes of like Will Ferrell is just completely unhinged.
Yeah.
Like,
it is
not
something.
A quiet moment. Not that. Did you see that video where he's fighting that woman on the street?
Yeah.
That is amazing. What were they?
He was saying something and she was talking about like how his dad was trash or something. It was like,
oh my God, it was like the funniest thing. He's like arguing with her. She's like, looks like a raver from the 90s or whatever. She's just like a media person, whatever.
Right.
Here's how she comes off. It's funny.
Like a club kid or something.
Screaming with her, and he just looks like a fucking nut. And it's like, dude, you think you're gonna run for governor or something? Like he wants to run for governor in New York or something.
Yeah, he wants to be governor.
I'm surprised he didn't try running for mayor. He's like, I'm gonna just skip that part and go to governor.
I saw this great, I think it was The Onion or something, had a Bill de Blasio quote, like a fake one. It said essentially like, not too easy to pick a shitty mayor, is it, New York? Like
oh yeah, because that's the New York primary.
Yeah.
The guy from the Guardian Angels.
I saw that Curtis Sliwa or
he won the Republican primary for that.
That
hilarious. Guy's a joke. That guy's a joke. Like I always got like bad vibes from the Guardian Angels, right?
Yeah, they were. If you don't know the Guardian Angels, they were like a big pop cultural phenomena in the 80s. It was basically well-dressed and uniformed vigilantes that would
go on subways, make sure people didn't. I mean, listen, the city was really violent like that.
It was a different place.
I almost feel like, this is like pre-internet and it was really easy to craft media manipulation back then. All you have to do, if you got like 2 newspapers in the city to like back you and the local news to give you attention, you basically were in. Like people don't realize how easy it was back then in a way to get in. Like, I mean, I know that sounds easy said and done. I mean, no, it really is. Like, if you had a connection into like the Daily News or Newsday or New York Post or anything, that's all you needed. And if you had were able to get on like a local news, you were able to just manipulate the media in any way.
A lot of those, I saw Curtis Sliwa. Is that how you say it? Sliwa?
I don't know.
Anyway, I used to see him all the time. I'd watch talk shows at 11 or 12 at night, and they'd be like Maury Povich or Morton Downey Jr. Who were some of the other? Geraldo had a talk show back then. And anyway, the Guardian Angels, there's a woman that he used to appear with pretty regularly. I don't know.
Didn't he marry like a model or something?
I don't remember, but he would appear all the time, and he was a prototype MAGA chud. He was like a kind of a little fascist, and they were
like, it's like playing off of like all the New York's like fears that people had, you know, and like Taxi Driver and like what's that guy's name that like
Travis Bickle.
No, not the fictional one, but the guy who basically was
Bernard Getz.
Yeah. Playing off of like racial fears and you know, changing cultures and stuff like that. And you know, the city had a lot of crime and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's people glad the Guardian Angel's there, but I don't know. It just sounds like fucking circus to me.
Well, one of my favorite albums of all time is that Lou Reed record, New York. And it's basically like a dozen songs, and they're all about New York in the 80s. And he talks about the Guardian Angels, and he talks about Bernard Getz, and he talks about the whole thing. You know, it's like a really, really great album. All you got to do is listen to like one or two songs off of it, and you'll get a sense as to how fucking chaotic New York was back then. But you're right. I mean, the Angels. So he won the Republican primary.
He's the Republican. I mean, that guy could, in theory, become the mayor of New York. Now, people claim that, like, oh, he has no chance in hell, but I don't believe that. New York has voted for Republican mayors in the past. Giuliani was mayor. Fucking Bloomberg was mayor. People forget. They get complacent. It's like Bill de Blasio was the first Democratic mayor.
Yeah.
Since David Dinkins. That's like 20 fucking years. And people, they just get, you know, it's like we have him in there and he's not perfect or like that. And people get complacent. They forget. They're like, no way, Republican. Dude, fucking Curtis Stilwell could be the fucking mayor of New York come fucking November this year. Like, this guy's a clown. This guy can't be mayor of New York.
No.
He's a joke. Like, I'm like, oh God, that's awful. Like, it's like literally you might as well vote for Ron DeSantis. I mean, like, I didn't know this guy was that right wing. I didn't know that. I
didn't realize he was still around. I mean, I recognized the name immediately when I heard it.
Didn't he fake a kidnapping or some shit?
He faked a bunch of stuff. Like he'd fake attacks.
Yeah. Like Robert Downey Jr. faked getting beaten by skinheads in a bathroom or something.
Right. He drew the swastika on himself backwards because he was doing it in the mirror. Because he was.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm a little surprised. I heard who's the leading candidate? Wiley, is that the one that's kind of a?
No, it's a guy. So thankfully Yang lost.
Yeah, he came in like fourth place or something.
Fuck that guy. I'm so sick of him. I know you thought that you love him. I know you.
No,
I know. You know that. I'm kidding.
Right? I appreciate that he brought universal basic income into the conversation, but I don't like him. You know.
Nah, he sucks. He said some real awful things. Like, it's funny, you know, when he was running for president, he came off kind of progressive. Like he had these like platitudes and stuff like that, and. You know, it was kind of like stealing energy from Sanders. A lot of these clowns did that. Fucking Tulsi and all them. They're all like, they all stole, like, I don't know. But I don't know. I thought he sucked, but I think as a mayor, I would hear all these horrible things of him when he was running for mayor. And I'm like, this guy sucks. And he was saying all these awful things. And he's like, dude, this guy's running on the wrong primary. He said something about mental health or something. How people.
He had a pretty clumsy quote about Israel.
Got on what?
He had a pretty clumsy quote about Israel too, and
he would have been bad news. He would have been a fucking Trojan horse for Peter Thiel and fucking Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and everything. He would just like let the city be taken over by like in the worst way possible. It's what do they call that? Not a runoff election, like
it's a
ranked choice.
Yeah. I like that. I like that approach. That's how you could vote for that's how you could, in the Democratic primary last year, you could have voted for Bernie and then Biden, and then you could have voted your faith, because like a lot of people say Bernie would have won, except a lot of people got gun shy and voted for Biden over Bernie because they thought Bernie'd have no chance. But that the ranked choice election takes care of that. You can vote for whoever you want, and your second place vote will like protect against what you're afraid of. So
Eric Adams is the leading candidate.
Oh, okay.
Supposedly he sucks though.
Well, I've heard
what?
I've heard that this is going to take a while to sort out. That the way the balloting is that it's gonna, we won't really know who won for a while.
AOC came out for Wiley. Is that
Wiley? Yeah, that's who I was talking about.
I don't know. I would hope whoever they pick though doesn't suck and let like a clown like Sliwa get it. It's like such a fucking relic from the 80s. It's like a joke. He still wears that stupid hat.
Yep.
The fucking jacket. It's like, dude, it's like this is, like you said, this isn't fucking Morton Downey Jr. Like this is real fucking life, dude. And like this guy is, he's like, we're gonna take the city back. Yeah, what are you gonna do with it?
What are you gonna take it back from? I've been to New York recently. I mean, what is there to take it back from? It's pretty nice.
It's a fucking racist aggressions. What he's taking it back to. I mean, it's like playing into, I don't know. He's such a ridiculous character that like, oh, they're not going to win. Why? Trump won.
He was like voting for Mr. T.
Yeah.
I mean,
you might as well vote for Mr. T. And what would it be? And what would be his catchphrase for his election?
Well, something about pitying the fool.
You'd think that, but he'd probably have something different. Mother, there ain't no other. You ever seen that song?
Oh,
Mother,
yeah.
there ain't no other.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm not too afraid of him winning, just because I think he's such a caricature of the 80s that most people would be like, he'll compel Republicans to stay at home, and not vote, I think.
Or just come off like he's like a Trumpy guy, like, I don't know. We'll see what they pick for who the candidate ends up being. Like I said, I'm just glad Yang was gone. I mean, that guy, I'm like, what's he gonna run for next? Somebody, like, I don't know if we talked about this, but maybe you even said this, like, why would you run for mayor of New York if you're like, it was such a bizarre, it's like he just knew that it would give him attention. You know what I mean? Like, okay, I'm gonna run for president. Of course, that's gonna give me a national attention because it's running for president. Where am I gonna run for next? Well, I'm not gonna run for like Cleveland or something.
He should have put together a think tank and like pumped the UBI idea somewhere. So
who knows? Like, he didn't get a position in the Biden administration. Nope. I guess so he was like, I want to get national attention, and one of the only cities in the country that's going to get you national attention is the New York City mayoral race. LA doesn't even attract that attention. No. Like, no one really, maybe Chicago once in a while.
No one even really knows what I mean, like, when you think everyone can visualize New York, LA is very hard to visualize.
Yeah, you can't.
I mean, like,
the Pink's hot dog stand.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard to, like, what is that, Angeline billboard? Is that still?
Yeah, that woman.
Yeah,
like a billboard of a woman who's like 90 now.
I mean, like, there's really, I can't,
Hollywood
like,
sign.
If you show me like the Chicago, the Detroit, the Seattle, if you show me like San Francisco skyline, maybe like a half dozen, I can identify it, maybe not with 100% accuracy, but I'm like, oh yeah, that's just LA. I have no idea what that skyline looks like. I have no idea if the neighborhoods around it are in LA or not in LA.
Yep.
I mean, I have like
New York has Statue of Liberty, Empire State Building,
Flatiron Building,
and the Brooklyn Bridge, and
Brooklyn Bridge.
Everyone knows what New York was, and that's
Central
the only reason why Yang picked it, just so he can continue getting national attention.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever.
All right, we got two things left.
Okay, two things left. I mean, I'm not gonna talk about this too long, but you say you're not too familiar with this.
I just saw the clips.
Okay, I watched Majority Report, and Sam Cedar's the host of that. I like that show. I try to watch it every day, or at least watch the fun half, is what they call it. And they're a good source and everything. I think they're bound. I think they do a good job on the left in that they're pragmatic.
Okay.
They don't tell people to vote for the Green Party or just like, I don't know, whatever. He gets shit for that too. Like there's people who make jokes, call him like MSNBC or something like that. But whatever. But he's been around for years. He's like really good at he's good at debating. He's no bullshit. He's very funny, but at the same time, he's no bullshit. And there's been this talk for years of where he was supposed to have a debate with this guy named Steven Crowder. Do you know who Steven Crowder is?
Yeah.
He's a right-wing piece of shit who supposedly is a comedian, I guess. I mean, I guess if he's a comedian, I'm a comedian. Sure. So are you. You're a comedian too. You know who else is a comedian? My dog Snoopy.
Right.
Snoopy is really funny. His little tongue sticks out.
Yeah, that's hilarious. The blast. Yeah,
it's funnier than anything Steven Crowder ever did, and less offensive too.
Yeah.
So Crowder is supposedly this right. But somehow Steven Crowder has millions of views. He's on YouTube. He constantly pushes out super racist shit.
Yep.
He's a right winger. Claims he's Christian or whatever that version of Christianity is supposed to be.
Right.
But he was supposed to have a debate with Cedar, and he kind of chickened out. His dad supposedly. Crowder is the most famous for. Everyone probably knows who Crowder is and not even realize it. There's this meme that went around with the guy sitting behind the desk, and it says change my mind.
Right.
People have put different things in there.
Yeah.
People have no idea who Steven Crowder is, and they post that meme, and it has his little stupid face in there. He's basically like a failed actor.
Yeah.
A lot of these like right-wing dudes are failed actors. Everyone in the Daily Wire is like a failed actor.
Yeah.
They always like try to get some project out, like about a conservative or whatever.
Yeah,
like Dana Loesch from the NRA tried getting she had a failed pilot about a woman who was
it's crazy.
Like to shoot kids. I think that was her show. I don't remember. But Steven Crowder he would challenge college kids and stump them.
Yeah. And
he would debate them, like change my mind. But then he would, you get this like 18, 19-year-old kid who doesn't really know, has passionate, but doesn't know enough.
Wasn't prepared. Yeah.
They don't know enough. And this guy's coming in and he's got some already prepared things, and he's older and he's got a camera. He's got people. He's got all the confidence to back him. Of course he's going to win. So then Sam Cedar, they were supposed to have like, I think, a Politicon or whatever this bullshit thing. And he got a message. Sam Cedar's played this and it's got around forever. He got a message from like the manager or whatever, basically saying that basically said he had cold feet.
Yeah.
So it was going around for years, cold feet Crowder, hashtag cold feet Crowder. People would be like, always constantly saying, debate Sam Cedar. What are you scared of? Basically, like dad stepped in. Because Sam Cedar is going to destroy him in a debate. Because Crowder is, any position Crowder has, Sam Cedar's going to be able to break down, destroy. And he's not going to be emotional about it. He's not going to give a shit about whatever bullying tactics Crowder's going to do. And so basically, H3H3 is like a YouTube comedy show. Ethan Klein and Hilla Klein. Mm-hmm. They have this show. It's been around for years. It's funny thing is I did a t-shirt for them, and they own my Guy Fieri artwork.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's in the background when they're talking. It's really
that's
weird.
Funny, yeah. It's
on their wall, and people have found out about me because of them. Just from that Guy Fieri in the background. I did it back in 2018. So I've known about them and I'm watching them, stuff like that. They're more on the pop culture end of things. They don't really get involved with politics too much. But their producer brought up a thing recently about one of the producers is a fan of Majority Report, and he brought up a thing about how Crowder basically chickened out and was supposed to debate Sam Cedar, and he was too scared to do it. And of course they were laughing about it. That was really funny. because these right-wing dudes, like the thing is, like Ben Shapiro will do the same thing. He'll debate some college kid.
Yeah.
And he ends up looking like this little genius when he talks really fast, and but he's not going to debate like a competent left-leaning guy. He's
right.
just not.
No.
They're not, because if their positions are exposed in any way, if they lose in any way, some of their audience might wake up and be like,
and it's over.
Yeah. And so basically, I guess, I don't know. This is why I'm shocked that Crowder wasn't aware, or I guess he was aware this was going to happen at some point. They, I guess, arranged they were going to talk to Crowder, and Ethan Klein was going to talk to him about like masks or something. And Crowder, of course, is an anti-masker. But Ethan Klein even's like, why are you going to debate me? Like, I'm not a debater. Like, I am literally like, I don't give a shit about this stuff. Like, I don't know enough to defend my positions enough. Like, I'm already telling you this is a waste of time. Like, you might make me look bad or something. It doesn't matter. I don't care, because I don't do this debate bro shit. And my audience does, like,
they're not here for that. Yeah.
They're not here for that. And you're not going to convince them either way. You might look like you won the debate, but I don't give a fuck. Like, it's not something I care about. It's like me saying like, I lost like the drumming competition, or I didn't do well for the football game. Like, because I'm not good at these things. Like, I don't care. Good job. You won. So I guess they arranged this thing where they snuck Sam Cedar on. Yeah. And I guess they tried doing it like the week before. And the joke is that Steven Crowder claims he doesn't know who he is, but he was keeping track of Sam Cedar's show.
Oh, shit.
He was keeping track of Sam Cedar's show for like a week. And I guess they tried getting him on or something, and Crowder left, but then they got him back on again. And the joke was that Sam Cedar's show was playing, but he was playing a pre-taped interviews.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He was playing pre-taped interviews. So when Ethan Klein talked to him, again, he had Sam Cedar show up, and Crowder lost his fucking shit. He was like, oh my God, what a nightmare. And then he had like his co-host get on the screen, and Crowder wouldn't even show up on the screen. All Crowder could say was like, oh, you have no viewers. Why would I talk to you? Yeah. And they're like, you talk to college kids that have no viewers. Like, what are you scared of? And, he's like, and then the joke was like, he was bringing up like Rogan won't talk to you, or the intellectual dark web people won't talk to him. He was coming up with all this bullshit like, oh, I'm so popular. Why would I waste my time talking to you? It's like, first of all, he has over 1 million subscribers. Yeah. That's pretty big. And Crowder's a liar, because he's debated people with much less of a following. So that's bullshit.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's like dumb shit like that. But then he, of course, Crowder like said some vaguely anti-Semitic thing to Cedar about like, it was like basically saying he's a soulless, beady-eyed Jew. Basically what he said. Velveteen rabbit eyes or something. It was like some bullshit. I was like, what? Like, this guy's such a fucking creep. They were making, Ethan Klein was making fun of him because Crowder wears a fucking gun holster all the time. And he's like, I'm trying to normalize gun ownership. It's like, no, you're trying to make yourself look like a badass. You look like an asshole.
Yeah.
So it was really funny because they got him, and he chicken shitted out, and he cried, and they were like, you got to watch the whole thing, and they were laughing afterwards, like, oh my God, we got him. It was like really funny. Of course, Crowder's trying to claim victory. All the right wingers were trying.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love it. All of a sudden, they care about rules and the rules of debating. Ethan Klein really has no class. He really has. It was like really funny. It was like, get the fuck out of here. You guys got fucking stumped.
Yeah.
Take the L.
Take the L.
Take the L and go away. And he proved that Crowder was Crowder, he doesn't know who Sam Cedar was. He doesn't know who he is. Mm-hmm. But he was monitoring his show.
Yeah, for a week.
More than that. He knows everything about him, but he doesn't know who he is. Weird.
Yeah.
It's such a strange thing how you know so much about them, but you just don't know who they are. So yeah, it was pretty funny. It was definitely I thought it was awesome because you had guys the thing is H3 like if he thinks that like if Crowder thinks that like Sam Cedar doesn't have a good enough of an audience, H3 I think is way bigger than H3 is fucking huge. So
I didn't realize that, but I looked that up. It is giant.
everyone who saw H3H3 show saw Crowder shit his pants. You ever heard of this thing called like Wojak? It's like this.
Yeah.
Those like memes where I hate these drawings, but it'll be like the big brain, or it's usually a simple line drawing of like the person like angry, but then like they made a Wojak of Crowder shitting his pants when Sam Cedar pop up. So I mean, is Crowder's audience give a shit? Probably not.
Probably not.
It doesn't matter. It's just really funny, and it was really entertaining, and it was good to see that. You know, the joke too is even the client's like, okay, well now you know who Sam Cedar is. Why don't you debate him?
Yeah.
Of course, your audience doesn't. Your audience now knows who he is. Your audience knows who Sam Cedar is. So why don't you debate him now? He's never going to.
No. That's no. Oh.
They would have to create rules. Like they would have to, you know. All right. So last thing. Leave Britney alone, right?
Right. It's Britney, bitch.
Leave Britney. Leave her alone.
Well,
I don't know anything about this. You are an avid follower.
I am. I never liked Britney Spears back in the day, but probably about maybe 10 years ago, I was listening to Spotify and a song of hers came on and I really liked it. And then I listened to her album Femme Fatale, which I thought was amazing. Like every song on there was really good. And it was like really, really good. And then I started kind of like when it's kind of like dance.
That's a different.
It's Christina Aguilera.
Yeah.
So anyway, I used to make fun of Britney back in the day. And so then I kind of like reconsidered her career and I followed her on Instagram. And as it turns out, she's like, all she does all day is hang out with her boyfriend who looks like super handsome and really into her. And she does like fashion shows in her hallway all the time and films them, which are amazing. And her catalog is aged like a fine wine. Like all the songs have gotten even better with age, which is like really rare. It's like pretty unusual. And anyway, back in the day when she was at the height of her popularity, she lost her shit. And remember
she smashed a car and she shaved her head.
I think she got caught shoplifting and then she smashed a car and she shaved her head. And it looks like she was going through like a legitimate mental health crisis at the time. Everyone's laughing at her, but she probably was like losing it. And so anyway, as a result of that, her parents basically took conservatorship of her life, you know. And this like started early because she was in that Mickey Mouse Club and stuff like that. And so like when you're a child star, you don't get your paychecks, your parents get them.
Yeah, you know? she became a big success right out the gate, but she was like what, 16?
I don't know.
She's like in the little high school like church girl skirt or whatever.
Yeah.
And
I don't know how old she was at that time, to be honest with you.
I think she was still in high school.
Probably. Well, anyway, so as it stands, like her father has been her conservator for a long time.
What does that word mean? Because it sounds like
it's basically like a trustee. Like everything you have is in a trust. She doesn't make her own financial decisions. She can't sign contracts. She is not able to. I mean, she's just unable to function as an adult. It's like she's still a minor child.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, in a nutshell. I mean, there's more nuance to it. I don't know all the nuts and bolts of the law, but that's it in a nutshell. She can't sign a contract. She can't go buy a car or get a mortgage or withdraw money from the, more than X amount of dollars from the bank. And she wants it to be done with. And I guess I've never really investigated why it's not done with, but I know that once you're in a system, I used to work in the mental health system. Once you're in a system, it's fucking hard to get out. It's real hard. Just like when you get on probation after leaving prison or parole or whatever, they make it so that it's real hard to get out, And so Britney Spears has been like enjoying a normal life for like, I don't know, like the last 10, 15 years.
She basically just had a thing in Vegas, and like she wasn't touring much. She was just doing what do they call that?
A residency. She did a residency.
Did she have a residency in Vegas, and was just doing that for the past couple of years.
Yep. And honestly, she's kind of settled into a niche of music that she does, like stuff that probably sells pretty well overseas, and it's like dance music, like nightclub dance music. You know, like not at the level Madonna was when Madonna was as big as she was, but that style of music where it's like in the clubs, it's, you know, she's kind of iconic in a lot of ways. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I really like Britney Spears' music unironically. You know, I mean, it's just like,
I know. And you also said something else about her too. She's your, the like, you can, if it were to happen, your wife would.
Right. Yeah.
Like that works.
Probably. Britney might be a freebie. Yeah. Like,
because she's like, yeah, that's not happening.
Right. Yeah. That's a safe thing to say.
Like,
that's
like you getting it like abducted by an alien or something.
Yeah.
Probably a better chance of that. Is what she's.
But it is. Yeah. It is.
So you never know.
It is weird. And I think it's an interesting thing that a lot of people have kind of like latched onto this Free Britney thing. And it's kind of funny because Britney's like an old icon from back in the day.
Which is crazy because I feel like it's not, but then you're like, oh yeah, she's not. She's like a little younger than me, but like, man, that fucking, her first major hits like over 20 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, easily. Okay. So her first hit was Baby One More Time, right?
Yeah.
So Baby.
Was that from like 95?
Yeah. That'd be like 25 years ago. That came out. I
think I just graduated high school when that was.
Oh, 1998.
Okay, I was in college. Yeah.
1998. So, and Britney
That's
Spears.
23 years ago.
Yeah.
Am I crazy?
That is crazy.
I mean, you know what's funny? Okay, so when we were kids, 23 years ago, music was like the Beatles. Right?
Yeah.
And it felt old as shit. And you forget, and you're like, and then you see that, you're like, it doesn't seem that old. Like,
yeah.
They just don't make music like that now. And I think it's just the grainy black and white footage is what makes everything seem so ancient.
I agree. Britney was 17 when she did that first hit, Baby One More Time. So, yeah, no, you're right. Like listening to, like, any kid listening to Britney Spears today is like me listening to 1960s music when I was their age.
They probably don't view it like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure some kids will be like, yeah, there's ancient music or something, but
yeah,
I think it probably holds up to them. And like any other fucking, like what, JoJo Siwa? I mean, like it's the same crap, right?
Well, I would say that, yeah, I would say that Britney Spears, you know what, here's the thing I read about Britney Spears, about her music, is that like she, at some point, and this is right before her Femme Fatale album came out, she gave up trying to be an artist, like a music artist, and said, I'm going to be like a vessel for production companies, you know, and I'm just going to like channel the production company's vision and whatever, and kind of be like an old fashioned singer in that sense, you know, like
put out a hit, whatever's.
Well, like I'm not going to interfere with the process, you know, like my art is going to be, you know, like some of those old singers, like in Sinatra's time, they never wrote a song. They had
like literally like really the Beatles that people wrote their own music.
Right.
And most bands back and then, half their songs weren't even theirs. Like go look at like the Animals, the Yardbirds, and you're like, wait, wasn't that on that album? Wasn't that on that? Like they all played each other's music.
Yeah. It was weird.
Like hard to engage. Wait, who made that song? Who made that one? Elvis didn't write any. Did Elvis write anything?
I think he eventually did, but he didn't initially, for sure.
Well, those were all the songs about peanut butter banana sandwiches.
Right. Yes. So I don't know. I do think that it's interesting because it's fun and kind of kitschy, but it's also like a serious thing. Like, at what point can grown adults be conservatored? Like,
wasn't that like the same shit? Like, what was it? Kesha had something with like a manager or something that was like preventing her from basically doing anything either. Like,
yeah, she had a record deal.
It's Britney Spears' parents doing it, right?
Yeah, it's her dad. Kesha's going to be here in Dallas soon.
Oh wow!
You know how much tickets are?
What?
Like $400 and some dollars.
Yeah, I'll be okay. For the TikTok song, lady, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, I wonder if she got any money from TikTok for that. Probably not.
She wakes up every morning feeling like P. Diddy.
The only thing I like about her is remember she tried hugging Seinfeld, and Seinfeld's like, you're not a 17-year-old girl. Where's Shoshana?
I like Kesha. I mean, I don't know a ton of her songs or anything, but
I mean, I guess there's like people, I don't know. Like I said, I don't really know much about the Britney Spears thing. It sounds pretty serious when people were talking about like
it's a serious question. Yeah.
That when it opens the door, like other people face this similar problem, like on a smaller level.
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, this is basically.
Has she proven that she's like literally incapable of like financial? I mean, at some point, yeah, but she's a fucking adult. Like this isn't some like 22-year-old or even 25-year-old. She's well into her 40s.
Yeah, she is. She's got to be.
She's been doing this for fucking years. What was gonna happen? Like she gets their conservatorship removed. She's gonna like shave her head again and go smash a car. That'd be kind of funny, actually. But
yeah, she's 39 years old. Baby.
She just like shaves her head first thing. The conservatorship is gone.
She's 39 years old. You know, right before Femme Fatale, she had another great album called Circus, which was really good. And it was right before Circus that she got put into this conservatorship.
It just sounds like she's like in an asylum or something. Like,
well, I'm looking at it right now. It's a court order by a judge or a statute to manage the financial affairs and or daily life of another person due to old age or physical or mental limitations. So,
well, I mean, she doesn't make her own music, like you said. She's just gonna play it.
She's
Some, like savant or something. She can't do anything else.
I'll tell you, if you look her up on Instagram, it's amazing. Like almost every day, she'll post a video of herself just walking down the hallway in different outfits.
Cool.
Yeah, she looks stunning. So,
I mean, it's like weird because it's like, who knows what the full story is 100%.
Yeah.
The dad's going to look like a fucking villain no matter what.
True.
The dad looks like a villain no matter what. No matter what he does, he could be partially in the right of this. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because he's the evil dad and he's holding her back.
Yeah.
It's like, sometimes people win just from the public because of who the person is. It doesn't matter like what it is or who's right or wrong. People will just come in and be like, hey, that's Britney Spears.
It's Britney, bitch.
You old greedy man trying to make decisions. Let her free. Set her free. I was saying, where is the leave Britney alone guy? He's still around, right?
He is still around. His name was like Chris something, I think. He
got really famous for that. That was probably like one of the first major like viral videos of like.
Yeah.
I hated it personally. I thought it was like, I don't know. I never really liked her. I just didn't like that whole scene. I didn't care for it. I found it like.
Yeah.
I had this theory. This is gonna sound insane, but there might be some truth to it. I had some theory that she was working for the George W. Bush administration because now you're probably like, what? Okay. All right. You lost me here. Okay. Maybe Romney's a conservative.
Right.
So back in the run up to the Iraq War.
Yeah.
She was interviewed and she was just some stupid kid at the time. Stupid kid. She was like in her late teens, early 20s. They asked her about the Iraq War or whatever, which is like stupid. Why are you asking her this? Like,
right.
may as well ask anyone what you gonna say. But she was like, "Well, I think we should respect our president. Our president's right." You can find the clip on there.
Yeah. I think I kind of remember this.
I think it's even in like, is it in Bowling for Columbine or the other Fahrenheit 9/11?
Could be.
And she just did, like, there were certain scenarios that happened during the George W. Bush administration where her personal life were great distractions where the media
during
would jump on her. And one of the big ones was like when the Democrats took the House and Senate in 2006.
Yeah.
Literally that same night, it was announced that she was divorcing that douchebag that she was
married. Yeah, Kevin Federline.
Yeah. And that just sucked the wind a little bit out of a massive Republican loss. And then like that whole car thing that very fake. I found it fake. I know you're saying that she lost her mind or something, was doing that. That looked like it was like what we talked about last week with that woman who was gonna speak out and Project Veritas. It just reeked of like a work.
Right.
And there were just certain things about her. I always like made a joke like she's Project Britney, and anytime the government or the Bush administration needed something to distract the people from
bring out
whatever
Britney
horrible thing that's happening, we just send Britney out, and Britney does something stupid. Or Britney does something that, like, you know, because the car thing, it made no sense.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna shave my head and bash a car. Okay,
it could be though. She's from like a real small town. I think she was born in like a town called like Left Nut, Mississippi.
Is there a Right Nut, Mississippi?
It's across the creek, and
a place called Tainton.
And she seems like someone who enjoys the simple pleasures. I don't know. She may.
She went from eating boiled nuts to eating caviar.
Yeah, if she did influence world events, it was through Gumpian means for sure. It was
through what? Gumpian
means.
No, like I said, I was kidding, but there was just something weird and timed about events that happened during George W. Bush administration and Britney Spears.
100%. When we saw this with Trump, like it 100% wouldn't stun me if like the owners of these media companies did that. You know, like, hey, let's give them Britney. You know, or like that.
Who the fuck knows?
Yeah. Well.
I mean, again, it leads to conspiracy. My conspiracy is more funny and a little bit more lighthearted. It doesn't involve like telling people a school shooting didn't happen or something.
Right. You're not going to storm the Capitol as a result. You're not going to...
Yeah. Like mine's more like, oh yeah, I could kind of see that. That's like market manipulation.
Yeah.
People have been doing that since the dawn of time. Well, I we'll see what happens. I don't know if I care enough to revisit this, but I know you're a huge...
I'll be following this story.
Well, then maybe there'll be a segment. We'll call it Joseph K's Pop Music Diva Minute. And
there we go.
It will end every episode YSGOAT when Joseph talks about another pop diva. Pop, pop bubblegum diva. Next week we might talk about what's that girl who ate tuna and thought it was chicken or something?
Jessica Simpson. Yeah.
Yep. Jessica Simpson.
Yep. Do her.
Dave, we'll talk about her. That talk your pop diva minute.
Gear up for my 3-part.
Maybe we'll have some music in the beginning that might sound a little bit like a Britney or Christina Aguilera song, but not enough that we get.
Right. Yep. My 3-part series on Bananarama.
Hey, don't you dare talk bad about that. Very specific time period, 1995 to like 99. It was like the series of Britney was like kind of like the first one, and there were like 1,000 after. What's the woman from This Is Us? The one who plays the mom? Like she was also.
Oh yeah. Ooh, I don't know.
I forgot her name just now, but I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I do. I've not seen that show,
but she started.
Was it Mandy Moore?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's Jessica Simpson's sister, Lisa Simpson.
Oh yeah.
No, her name wasn't Lisa.
No, I'm Jessica Simpson and Ashley Simpson.
Yeah.
Ashley Simpson was on some show that I really liked.
Ashley Simpson was famous for fucking up on Saturday Night Live. Oh, yeah. And accidentally, like, it was revealed that she like lip synced or something.
Yes.
And she just started like doing a goofy dance on stage, and everyone was like, "Oh, that sucks."
Yeah.
All right. Well, you know, we'll see if this. You know, like I said, the last minute we'll talk about, or you will.
Yeah.
I'll just laugh.
Yeah. I can do this.
This is it. This is the thing that makes YSGOAT off the map, you know? Do this. None of the other stuff will be. You'll just end up becoming like a what's that guy's name? Perez?
Yeah,
Perez Hilton.
Perez Hilton. Yeah. Nice.
You know, all of a sudden Joseph's got purple hair.
Who's that guy on Saturday Night Live? He does the club minute during
Bill
the
Hader?
news. Yeah, what's
he hasn't been on that. That's like Stefan. There's like
Stefan, yeah. That's I know that's an older one, but yeah.
What I loved the most about that was he would talk about things, but you could tell that it almost like it was written for him beforehand, and he was reading it
for the first time. Yeah,
for the first time. So he would try not to laugh, and he'd be covering his face, and he would try to do the character.
Yeah,
and he'd be reading like, this club is good. Like, there's a circus midget,
right.
and a guy who dresses up like I don't know. It'd be like really weird, specific things.
Yeah,
possibly one of the funnier things in Saint.
That was great. Yeah. So anyway, I'll be doing that for the last couple minutes of each.
If only. Don't make promises you're not going to keep. All right. Well, that was it for this week's Pop. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, I'm Rob Israel.
I'm Joseph K.
You still going on about
that?
Thank you for listening to You Still Going On About That. Please like, comment, share, and if you haven't done already, please follow us on Instagram, YSGOAT, Facebook, YSGOAT, and Twitter, YSGOAT. Thank you, and have a great day.